This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Interesting quarterback news out of Arizona. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports Cardinals won't activate Kyler Murray off the PUP list by tomorrow's deadline, so he'll miss the first 4 games of the regular season. Cards also cut Colt McCoy, so it'll be Josh Dobbs or rookie Clayton World. Another strong performance from Austin Reeves off the bench, 15 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. He's certainly been a hit at this tournament. ESPN NBA insider Brian Windhorst.
This guy is beloved. Now, he was beloved because he's a Laker, but he's winning over people, and especially his teammates, with how awesome his play has been. He comes in these games, and he is absolutely a difference maker right away. He draws fouls. He defends multiple positions. He doesn't foul. And he does spectacular plays.
Team USA finishes up pool play Wednesday, then is on to round 2. Blue Jays third baseman Matt Chapman's landed on the injured list with a sprained right middle finger, jammed the finger, returning a dumbbell to its rack in the team's weight room. Toronto, 2.5 games out of the final AL wildcard spot.
When it comes to hiring, you don't need to be doing all the searching, screening, and interviewing yourself. What you need is Indeed.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, man.
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Game week! Y'all, I love the preseason. I love fall camp. I love getting to go watch practices and find out what it's going to be like. I love the preseason in the NFL and the training camp, trying to figure out roster spots 51, 52, 53. But none of that even holds a candle to the feeling today when we actually are going to get to watch a really for real, play for keeps football game this coming weekend. I could not be more excited about it. Now we need the Saints and the Tigers to cooperate and go and have great seasons, but if they do, we should have a lot of fun this fall. Let us begin as we do every single day here on AFR.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
All right, LSU and Florida State, the marquee matchup of week 1 of the college football season. Unfortunately, it's not a great, deep weekend of games. I don't care. We're all going to be watching anyway. But Sunday night, primetime, standalone, ABC, the Camping World kickoff down in Orlando, number 5 LSU, number 8 Florida State. This is the game, the singular biggest game on the marquee that everyone is going to be looking forward to this weekend, and a weekend where all of us have just craved college football for 8 months, and we got an appetizer on Saturday with week 0, and the entree is coming this weekend, and the gigantic 45-day dry-aged bone-in ribeye is LSU Florida State, and I'm jacked up for it. Now, it was so interesting talking to Brian Kelly on Monday at his press conference because so much of what Brian Kelly had to say, and you can read it. You can read a human. You know, when you watch it, it's like a parent with their child. Like, you know, whenever if you're a parent, like, you know when your child is lying to you. You know when they're being truthful just because you interact with them so much. It's like that sort of when we get to watch Brian Kelly in these press conferences because we talk to him all the time. And you can just tell the confidence, the complete about face from the emotion of a year ago. A year ago, they didn't know who the starting center was going to be against Florida State on the Monday before the game. Now, like, you got 9 dudes you trust that could play on that offensive line. You got a 5th-year senior starter at quarterback. You got talent everywhere, and you got guys that have completely bought in. And Brian Kelly said it. This team is dramatically different than a year ago.
We're a smarter football team. We understand the systems. We understand the process. We understand the things necessary to become more consistent in everything that we do to be a championship football team.
So remember, when Brian Kelly got here, so much of everything a year ago was implementing culture. And yes, they were ahead of schedule last year. There's no doubt. Winning 10 games and beating Alabama and all, going to the SEC championship game, winning the West. But Brian Kelly was very clear. They are just dramatically different now. He pointed out, so much of the accountability the team had to do when he first got here about every day you had to go onto your phone and log what you ate and when you woke up and all that sort of stuff. Now it's just habitual. It's what they do now. They're not learning all of these systems. They're just implementing them. And he said that this team has done a great job preparing in this offseason, in this fall camp, and now the challenge is at hand.
We've been preparing since the last game we've played, and now we'll see what this team does when it comes time to perform. I have no idea. I know they've prepared really well, and my experience tells me that teams that prepare well, when they flip the switch to performance, that they can and will perform well.
We'll get to find out on Saturday night. Now, a couple of things, specifically some housekeeping stuff that Brian Kelly talked about. We learned about a month ago that every Monday and throughout game week, Brian Kelly was going to put out an injury report. So he, true to his word, he did that today. There were 3 players on the injury report. Here was the update.
We've got 3 guys on the injury list. Amani Goodwin will be listed as doubtful. Chemo will be listed as questionable, and Josh will be listed as probable, Josh Williams. And we'll have 1 player unavailable to us, and that's Mason Smith.
So a couple things. Remember, we've talked a lot about the running back room and the fact that you've got 8 scholarship players. Well, take Armani Goodwin and remove him. He's not going to play. Well, he said he's doubtful. Okay, so not out, but listed as doubtful. Josh Williams, probable for this weekend as well. Chemo, of course, is Chemo Makaneoli, who we've seen cross-trained at both tackle and guard spots. He's been a backup left tackle. He's been a backup right guard. We've seen him at both spots in this fall camp. That means with your depth, it opens up opportunities for a guy like Zalance Hurd and Marlon Martinez as your next guys in at either guard or tackle. And then, obviously, he mentioned Mason Smith there as well. So, by and large, LSU has avoided real critical injuries. Now, Brian Kelly was also asked, sort of the biggest difference in the team from a year ago to now, and kind of hinted at it there. And it is, I don't even think it's a question that it's the offensive line. Listen to Brian Kelly talk about his line from last year to this year.
I think the biggest improvement has been the ability of our offensive line to gain the continuity up front, having 5 guys working together consistently, and then the ability to adjust after the snap. As you know, this game is played after the snap. There's so much moving, there's so much stemming. The ability to communicate and do the things necessary after the snap, we're so much further along than we were at any time last year. And so that's encouraging moving forward.
So much further along than at any point last year. Think about that. Not week 1. So much further along than at any point last year. They were building the bridge as they crossed it last year on the offensive line. I've said this before, but they had 6 different line combinations in the first 8 games. Garrett Dellinger was your center in the opener against Florida State. He had never snapped a ball in a game before. And he's out there against Florida State in the opener in the Dome playing center. So, yes, absolutely. The continuity on the offensive line, the ability to establish a true running game, the ability to protect your quarterback. Will Campbell not playing his first game, starting left tackle as a true freshman. Now you've got true bookend tackles and a whole bunch of experience between them. Yes, absolutely. Both lines of scrimmage are dramatically different today than they were a year ago. Now, as far as that defensive line, if you flip it over to the other side, yes, you're not going to have Mason Smith in this game, as we well know. But Brian Kelly took some time today to talk about that defensive line, even with, like he said, of course you want Mason Smith. I mean, he is an he is a disruptor. Like, you want a disruptor on the line, no doubt. But he's very comfortable with this line even without Mason Smith.
We really are pleased with the growth and development of our defensive line. Guys that we haven't talked a lot about, Jefferson has been outstanding in camp. We think he's physical, plays really strong at the point of attack. He's got a lot of experience playing at West Virginia, and he's going to be a really good football player. Guillory's been outstanding. First step quickness is his ability to gain penetration. He's going to be a handful. And Lee has been probably one of the surprises. The transfer from Florida has probably been one of the surprises of camp for us. He didn't have a great spring. He worked harder in the weight room, and he's done a nice job, for us in terms of adding to the depth of that defensive tackle position.
So keep in mind, no Mason Smith, but you got Mekhi Wingo. When you lost Mason Smith a year ago, you had 3 defensive linemen that you rotate on the interior, defensive tackles. 3. It was Jaquelin Roy, Jacoby Guillory, and Mekhi Wingo. Now, none of us thought Mekhi Wingo would play a major role a year ago. None of us did. He was a diminutive guy coming in from Missouri who had a nice season at Missouri, but nobody thought that kid was coming in to have a gigantic impact. You lose Mason Smith 6 plays into the season, and he goes on to be an All-American. So you've got Wingo back. You have Jaquelin Roy or Jacoby Guillory, who's a 330-pound space eater. He's right. Brian Kelly's right. Jordan Jefferson, still weird to say, the defensive lineman from West Virginia, is a physical dude on the interior who's north of 300 pounds. We have not talked at all about Jalen Lee, who, of course, from Live Oak, who went to Florida, is now transferred in. But that clearly is another guy, as I often say, sometimes what we see, the media, when we're allowed to watch practice, isn't the same thing that the coaches are looking at. So clearly they see something with Jalen Lee in that rotation that they like a lot. So my point is, you got bodies. You've got a ton of established talent with Wingo and Guillory and Jefferson. Now you add Lee into that mix as well, and some of the younger guys behind him. You have plenty of bodies to keep a fresh rotation throughout the game on that interior, even without Mason Smith. So there's a lot to like about this LSU team and where they are. They're healthy. They're deep and talented on both lines of scrimmage. You've got all but one of your running backs available for this game. You've got a 5th-year senior starter at quarterback. Yes, you undeniably have a question in the secondary, and they're going to have to see how that goes, and that's a tall order against a really good Florida State team. Even Brian Kelly said at special teams, they expect to be dramatically better at special teams this year. And can you play that one, please? This was Brian Kelly on special teams.
They got to field the ball. They've got to be able to do the little things the right way. But from a special team standpoint, that's what we were looking for. Our miscues last year were evident, right? We didn't field the ball very well. But that, coupled with Damon Ramos, has been outstanding, with field goals throughout camp. And Jay Bramlett has been a weapon. We think special teams should and can be a positive for us and influence games.
I mean, all 3 phases, you're deep, you're talented, you're experienced, you're good. It's why this team is a preseason top 5 team. And Brian Kelly, even if it wasn't intentional, in a sort of understated way, validated everything that we thought. So great to see. Game week is upon us. Tigers are healthy. They're ready. Now, it's got to go show. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know, Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com. We had awful weather over the weekend. We needed the rain so badly. But, man, on Saturday, I saw trees going through people's homes, unfortunately, in the White Oak area in Baton Rouge. There was hail around Jamestown and Baton Rouge on Sunday. If you're in the greater Baton Rouge area or anywhere in the state of Louisiana, Hudco can help. Roof repairs, roof replacements, tell you every single day, commercial or residential. Do business with someone you know, Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com. Let me remind you also, if you own a commercial building, Hudco has a silicone coating product. It's roughly half the cost of a roof replacement and comes with a 20-year warranty. So if you have a commercial building and you're having roof issues, call Hudco, inquire about this silicone coating product. Half the cost of a roof replacement, 20-year warranty. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Okay, y'all, it's After Further Review. Show open every day, brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. Drink easy in Tiger Stadium. Drink easy in the Superdome. Drink easy at Mumford Stadium or Camping World Stadium, wherever you're going to be. Grab an ice-cold Bud Light. Drink easy in Louisiana this football season. Let me knock out a break, y'all. We come back. We'll talk tons of LSU today. But Saints lost their preseason finale to the Texans on Sunday night. I'll give you a few takeaways from that. Brooke Kirchhofer in 45 minutes. She's got her final 53-man roster projection. We'll get to that. Chris Marler from Saturday Down South is here in hour number 3. Ton to do. Glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
I don't think you're ever where you want to be or where we need to be. We're in a race to improve, getting ready for the opener this, here in 2 weeks from today. But there's a lot of positives with this football team right now. But yet there's certainly some things we got to improve on.
Dennis Allen. Saints dropped their preseason finale to the Texans 17-14. 17-13. Had their opportunities in the game. Not a great day for Jake Haener, a really bad day for Jake Haener. A couple of bad interceptions in the ballgame. You missed a 60-yarder. Blake Gruby had the leg. My goodness. They said on the broadcast it would have been good from 68. But nonetheless, Saints fall in their regular season finale. Now all eyes point to Tuesday when the first 53 cut downs come. And I would say that because I know everyone always says it's the final 53, but it's you're going to hear me say this today and tomorrow and this whole week. Every single year when cut down day comes and teams have to trim their roster to 53, there are always guys that make the team, and then a day later, they're cut. Because you're going to look around the league and 31 other teams are going to cut 40-some-odd players, and you're going to have over 1,000 free agents hit the market like that in a day, and somebody is going to be a better player at a position of need for you, and you're going to sign them. So it's the first 53 that we'll get to on Tuesday. But as we sort of look at the roster and now that training camp and the preseason are complete, what are maybe our takeaways and what we were looking for on Sunday? I'll tell you, for me personally, if I had to have a single biggest takeaway, and I know there's a lot of people that are going to point to Jimmy Graham and the day that Lucas Krull had going over 100 yards receiving, and I get it, and those were impressive, no doubt. The thing for me that was the most important and most encouraging was Brian Brzee and Isaiah Foskey. Those are two guys, again, because you've invested so much draft capital in them. First-round pick on Brzee, high second-round pick on Foskey. You need those guys, not just to, of course they're going to make the team, but you need them to be impactful players for you. If they're not going to be starters, they at least have to be impactful parts of the rotation. And for the first time, we saw that. Foskey got his first sack. Brzee was not credited with a sack, but his disruption created a couple of sacks in that ball game. And that's what you want to see is those guys continue to get better and better and better. As a matter of fact, here was Dennis Allen on both Brzee and Foskey in the nights that they had against the Texans.
I thought he was active in the game. I don't know what his final stats were, but I did think he was active in the game, both in against the run and with the pass rush. So I thought I saw looked like there was a couple of good things I saw at Isaiah Foskey also in the game. So we got some tough decisions that are coming up. We got a lot of good football players on this team, and we got to make some decisions over the next 48 hours.
Look, you don't have a decision to make on Foskey and Brzee. We know that. By the way, this was the call on Fox of Foskey's sack.
Pressure on Mills, and he is sacked. Got sandwiched back there and nowhere to go. Isaiah Foskey, the rookie, got there first.
Boy, that was great to hear. It was great to see Isaiah Foskey make an impactful play because you got to, and I get it, it's against backups and guys that are going to be looking for a job on Tuesday, but you'd rather see that than not, right? I mean, that's the other side of it, is we go back 2 weeks to the first preseason game, and Foskey and Brzee didn't record a statistic against backups, and you're like, what gives? But Dennis Allen talked about Isaiah Foskey's progression throughout this training camp.
I think he's getting better, yet he's still a rookie and still has a long way to go. But he's made significant strides from where he was, in OTAs and even the first part of training camp. So, and look, that's what you want to see. You want to see a guy that every time he gets an opportunity to go out there and get more reps, you see a guy that's getting more comfortable in what we're asking him to do.
Okay, so the other side of the line is we got to talk about Andrus Peat. Muse just audibly oofed. Dude, it was rough. I mean, he was bad.
He blocked his own player at one point.
He did. He did that. And, in the worst part about it for Pete, I'm not here to pick on Andrus Peat. But it's the nature of the fact in the NFL is that these are these are jobs, and every roster spot is valuable. And Andrus Peat, at this point in his career, at almost 30 years old, and a guy that was a former first-round draft pick, and a guy that's been, even if it was by default, a Pro Bowler 3 times, this is a guy that was playing meaningful snaps in the final preseason game because he's trying to win a roster spot, because that is not locked up. I mean, he was going to be a cap casualty this year. They were going to cut. Remember when the Saints were over the cap? It was the Saints in Tampa. No team had less cap space than those two, and they had to rework a lot of contracts. Well, one of the guys that was going to be a cap casualty was Andrus Peat. And not only did they restructure his deal, and that wasn't just, hey, let us save some money, move some cash. That was a restructure and a pay cut. It's like, you will take this pay cut or we are cutting you. So you look at the way that they structured Pete's deal, and he took a pay cut, but if they trade or release him, if he was designated as a post-June 1st trade or release, the Saints save $1.5 million against the cap. And I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that that's going to be some exorbitant savings. Next year, the dead number is $13.6 million. So, that's going to be on your books next year no matter what. But whether he's on the roster this year or not. But you could save $1.5 million if Peat doesn't make the team this year. And the bottom line is, if I asked you objectively, who is a better option for you at left guard today, is it Andrus Peat or is it James Hurst? The answer unanimously is going to be James Hurst. He is a objectively better player right now than Andrus Peat, and he's more valuable because he's been starting at left tackle for you the last 2 years and can become a swing player for you and play outside if you need him to. So there's more value in Hurst than there is in Peat. So Andrus Peat having that kind of day probably is getting cut. At this point, I don't know that I see a path for him, because you're going to keep Nick Saldiveri. You used a 4th-round pick on him out of Old Dominion this year. You're going to keep Hurst, who I think is going to be the starter. And then the real question is, who's the next idea? You keep Throckmorton. Ruiz is probably your backup center if something happens to McCoy. I don't know that I see a spot for Andrus Peat on the line, which in some respects is disappointing because he is a former first-round pick and all, but everybody's run comes to an end. And in part, this is because of the emergence, too, of Trevor Penning, who did not play yesterday, although a lot of us were thinking, it was a generally accepted thought that Trevor Penning needs the reps and that he was going to play in this game, but he didn't, and Dennis Allen explained why after.
I think we've seen some improvement out of him, and I think where we're at right now with where he is, and then, you kind of take into account that, last year in the preseason, in the last preseason game, he was injured, so I felt good about where he was at and didn't want to risk putting him out there.
Penning is going to be your starting left tackle. I don't think Andrus Peat is going to make this team. If I were to give you a couple of other highlights coming out of the Texans loss, or lowlights, just observations, put it to you that way. Jake Haener was bad. There's just no other way to say it. He had a couple interceptions. He was, let me get the final box score. It was 18 of 36, I believe. Hang on, I have it right here. His final number was, he was 17 of 38, excuse me. So 17 of 38 for 172, no touchdowns, 2 picks, and they were bad interceptions too. So Jake Haener was bad. For the conversation we were having last week, when Jeff Duncan kind of floated the idea, Jameis Winston has not been very good in camp. Do you consider cutting Winston, keeping Haener, with the understanding that you've got Taysom Hill on the roster as an emergency quarterback as well that could shift back? I think that idea is washed after Sunday. You can't trust Jake Haener as your backup quarterback in the NFL. And when you've got a guy like Jameis Winston, which I think this was always the idea anyway, Jake Haener is going to make the team. You didn't draft him where you did to cut him. He's going to make the team, like Ian Book made the team, like Garrett Grayson made the team back in, when coming out of Colorado State. So you got to eat up a roster spot for third quarterback, but Haener's clearly not ready. That's just very much a project at this point. I will be really interested to see what they do at place kicker, because Blake Grupe was very good again yesterday. He missed a 60-yarder, but didn't miss it by much, wide right, and he had plenty of leg on it. I know last week Peter King floated the idea of trading Will Lutz to Denver. That's clearly coming from Sean Payton because Sean Payton and Peter King are close. So if Peter has something about Sean Payton's teams, you know that's coming from Sean Payton. So are the Saints confident enough in a guy like Groupie that they could keep him and trade Will Lutz? I will remind you, this is basically what the Saints did with Blake Gillikin when they had Thomas Morstead. And it's Sean Payton's old line, the Bill Parcells' old line, where you'd rather get rid of a player a year too early than a year too late. And if you remember, Morstead's still kicking in the NFL, but they felt like they had a young guy in Gillikin who could be the guy, so they moved on from Morstead. Do they have that same conversation right now? Do they feel like they've got a guy in Blake Groupie to where they're willing to trade away Will Lutz and maybe even get an asset for him from Denver? That's worth seeing. I don't know that I have a super strong feeling on it. I'm really concerned, that Will Lutz, after the missing a year for injury, came back last year, was not very consistent. I'm concerned about Will Lutz. And Groupie looks really good. So sans a better option, I'd say, of course, you're keeping Will Lutz, but I think you might have as good or better option right now. And like we talked about with Andrus Peat, with respect to Will Lutz, if he's a post-June 1, which we're post-June 1, trade or release, you'd save $1.7 million. Now, I'm not saying $1.7 million is going to drive that decision, but if you are the Saints, with Pete, you cut him, you save $1.5 million. With Lutz, if you cut or trade him, you save $1.7 million. That's not insignificant. You're talking about $3.2 million. So that matters, and that could be a deciding factor in these decisions. And then lastly, how do you not hat tip Jimmy Graham? The as great as the touchdown was, the reception where he stole the ball away from like two defenders. Well, listen to it. This was phenomenal.
Winston, lofty one, Jimmy Graham, back shoulder. What year is it, Greg?
Felt like the old days, man. Jameis just throwing dimes to Jimmy. Well, not Jameis in the old days, but, Jimmy Graham wrestling away balls, high-pointing balls was awesome to see, man. So Jimmy Graham made the team yesterday. With his performance, if it was in doubt, it ain't no more. The Saints kept 4 tight ends last year, and they're going to keep 4 this year. And I know Lucas Krull had a great day, but they didn't bring Jimmy Graham, especially if he was playing like this. They didn't bring him here to not make the team if he's playing like this. If he came here and wasn't performing, that'd be one thing. But, man, that was incredible. So the Saints, that Saints tight end room right now, because with Krull, you got 5 guys that you like a lot, and you're going to have to let one of them go. But, if you cut Krull, see if he clears waivers, if you're able to re-sign him to the practice squad. But some of those questions we had are starting to crystallize a little bit now that the preseason and training camp are done, and we'll start to get those answers as we move toward Tuesday's cut-down deadline to get to 53. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're with us. We're brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com, theantiagingclinics.com. Tell you all the time about hormone replacement therapy. It doesn't matter if you're a man or if you're a woman, what your age says. If you want to feel like your younger self, safely, affordably supplement yourself to get to healthy hormone levels so you can feel like your younger self again. You can learn more online at theantiagingclinics.com. That's theantiagingclinics.com for the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Okay, y'all, it is After Further Review. Quick break. We'll come back around the SEC. Remember last week we told you about Brett Yormark, the Big 12 commissioner who threw tons of shade at Texas, told Texas Tech at one of their rallies that they had to beat Texas on that Thanksgiving game. Well, Steve Sarkisian has responded to Brett Yormark. We'll let you hear that when we come back. Brooke Kirchhofer in 26 minutes from right now. Chris Marler, Saturday on South to start hour number 3. Ton of football today. Stick with us. It's AFR.
AFR.
Well, the rain came, and it provided a little bit of a respite. It's 94 degrees right now. But if your AC goes out when it's 94 degrees outside, that ain't nothing pretty. So call River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001. I love sharing these reviews because these are real people telling you real stories. Ruth Esther Vincent said, I was a bit anxious about my appointment because I have temperature-related health problems. However, when 1 Hour's technician, Mr. Leslie McGuffey, arrived with a warm smile, incredible professional and proficient responses to my seemingly countless questions, I was put at ease. I would recommend this company to anyone in need of an expert and cost-effective AC care. Thank you to River City's 1 Hour, especially Mr. Leslie McGuffey, and the manager, Mr. Jeff, for making my day. Another 5-star review. How often do you hear those about HVAC technicians? Well, if it's River City's 1 Hour Air, you hear them every day because they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Our buddy Ross Dellinger has an updated report about the ACC, just for those that are interested in following the possibility of further conference realignment. Ross reported, of course, Ross Dellinger now of Yahoo Sports, reported that ACC presidents have a scheduled call Monday night to discuss a possible vote on adding Cal, Stanford, and SMU to the ACC. As he notes, and Ross was with us last week for those that missed it, in the presented model, expansion, adding those three teams would add about $55 million annually for the ACC to share via their incentive pool. So, again, just kind of to clarify how all that would work. And one of the things that we always talk about here, remember, is with conference realignment, if you're going to add schools, it has to grow the pie big enough to where everybody's slice gets bigger. Because otherwise, you're just diluting. If you just add teams to add teams and the pie doesn't grow, the revenue pie doesn't grow, then everybody's getting a smaller share. So you've got to grow the pie enough with the teams you add, with the schools and programs that you add, that everybody's going to get a bigger share. So the concern is, well, with SMU, Stanford, Cal, you're not actually growing the pie big enough. Well, the concession that these schools made is SMU has said they will not take broadcast media revenue for 7 years. They will not participate in a rev share for 7 years. Now, they're a small private school in Dallas, and they got bajillions of dollars and tons of donor money if they wanted, so that's helpful, clearly. But a lot of schools would not be able to offer not taking rights money for 7 years. Well, if SMU is presently, I believe I remember correctly from what Ross told us, presently their payout is around $10 million a year. So it's kind of not super impactful to lose $10 million. Now, to your annual budget, it is, because your annual budget at a place like SMU isn't that big. But you can supplement it, I guess is the point I'm making, because they're a private school with a lot of money. The Cal and Stanford would be taking 30% shares initially. And obviously, you're talking about two other schools. Now, Cal is in a really tough spot financially, but Stanford's got, they could build a campus made out of gold if they wanted to. But they're in a position where the option is you either don't play Power 5 football or you take less money to go join the ACC and at least maintain Power 5 status. They're choosing the lesser of two evils, and that's apparently where they are. So, in any event, all three schools would be expected to enter for the 2024-2025 season in all sports. So, next fall, if in fact that vote happens, and as Ross Dellinger is reporting, that vote could happen tonight to expand the ACC. We'll keep you posted. All right. It's after further review. Brought to you by DraftKings. College football is here, y'all. College football is here. Hand in the air. I bet on every single game on Saturday, week 0. I get it. I mean, there ain't a lot of meat on the bone when you're sitting there, sitting in your outdoor kitchen on a Saturday and you're betting on Ohio U against San Diego State, where a quarterback is literally throwing a ball into a referee's face. But it's college football, and I love it, and you do as well. And if you want to bet on it, there's no better place than DraftKings, the official sports betting partner of us here on AFR. New customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge, one word, Baton Rouge. Make a $5 college football bet, and instantly they'll give you $200 in bonus bets. Win or lose, that is instant. Just make a new customer, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use the promo code Baton Rouge, make a $5 college football bet. $5 college football bet. And they'll give you $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's only at the DraftKings Sportsbook with the promo code Baton Rouge. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football. Terms. Licensed partner, Gold Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537. We do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC. Presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Excellence in imaging solutions.
Texas A&M! Jimbo has his starting quarterback. It's Connor Wegman. Not a great surprise, but the sophomore had been battling it out with senior Max Johnson, who had been the starter to a point a year ago. Injury in Week 7 to Max Johnson. Connor Wegman replaced him, threw for 896 yards and 8 touchdowns without an interception. So Connor Wegman is the starter here at the start of the season for the Aggies, who open up against New Mexico on Saturday at Kyle Field.
The Auburn Tigers.
Quarterback Robbie Ashford, who was beaten out by Peyton Thorne, now is battling with an injury of his own. He was included on Auburn's injury report with an oblique strain. Auburn plays UMass in their season opener coming up this Saturday at Jordan-Hare Stadium. UMass, of course, played Week 0 and beat New Mexico State last weekend, or this past Saturday. Ashford, though, is likely to be able to play even with the oblique strain. Peyton Thorne, the Michigan State transfer, is Auburn's starter.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Sophomore offensive guard Ben Christman will miss the entire 2023 season due to injury. Mark Stoops confirming it on Monday. 6'6", 321-pounder who started his career and played 2 seasons at Ohio State. That spot will be filled by Alabama transfer Tanner Bowles. Christman was one of 5 offensive line additions made by Kentucky in the transfer portal this season.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Kirby Smart updated a lengthy list of injuries for the Bulldogs. Wide receiver Ladd McConkey dealing with a back injury. He should be ready to go on Saturday. Linebacker Smile Munden is recovering from a foot injury. Inside linebacker Raylan Wilson recovering from a hyperextended knee, both doubtful for this weekend. Georgia also very banged up at running back. Branson Robinson out for the season. Kendall Milton has a hamstring injury. Dijon Edwards an MCL sprain. Cornerback Kamari Lassiter questionable with a foot injury. Georgia very banged up as they push off from the dock on their title defense.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
A safety, junior safety, Devontae Smith, not that Devontae Smith, the different Devontae Smith who plays safety. He's seen his opportunity to start slip away due to injury. He's going to be, he's out with a foot injury. Nick Saban said should be out for a while. Smith's a former 4-star from Ohio. He was a projected starter at safety, but will not be a starter, will not be available for the season opener this Saturday against Middle Tennessee, and could be out for some time.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
And Arkansas got a commitment from offensive lineman Bear McWhorter. Yes, Bear McWhorter committed to Arkansas for the class of 2026. 6'4", 297-pounder. Had offers from Tennessee, Texas, Bama, Virginia Tech, South Carolina, Georgia, a whole bunch of other ones as well. Arkansas has 18 commits for the 2024 class. Bear McWhorter committed for 2026. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products. You know where to find them at gcopnet.com. gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Face-to-face sales service after the sale. That's what you always get at Gulf Coast Office Products. gcopnet.com. Okay, Brooke Kirchhofer in 15 minutes. She's got her final 53 roster projection for the Saints. We'll get to that in 15 minutes. When we come back, we'll get to more, by the way, next hour, more of what Brian Kelly had to say as he's previewing Florida State. When we come back, though, Steve Sarkisian responded to Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark's shade that he threw at the University of Texas. We'll let you hear what Sark had to say at his press conference today. Stick around with us here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Buying or selling commercial or residential. If you need a realtor, you need Darren James. Get to agent225.com. That's agent225.com. I'm going to give you Darren's cell in just a second, but I want to remind you, when you work with Darren James, it's truly an experience. Darren has a way of making you feel like you're his only client, despite the fact that he's on the Wall Street Journal's list of the top 1,000 realtors in America, top 1%. As a matter of fact, this year, he was number 54 in the country. Number 54 in the country based on volume. How is it possible? Well, I don't know. Maybe Darren clones himself, but he works endlessly. It doesn't matter if you're a married couple buying your first house. Maybe you're going through a succession after a family member might have passed. It's all about getting people to the next phase of life, and Darren is an expert in that. So if you need to sell your home quickly for the most amount of money, you need Darren James. 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James. I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. Fire departments in West Baton Rouge Parish had to go put out a fire on a property connected to the parish president. Why people he's connected to were burning, and what he had to say about it, as residents there wonder why the rules they have to obey are not applying to parish leaders. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Bayou Ford has $8,000 off MSRP, plus 1.9% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks, along with Bayou Ford's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Van.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Wrapping up hour number 1. So last week, Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark made some headlines for the wrong reasons. He was speaking at a kickoff event for a Texas Tech booster club in Lubbock, and with the Texas Tech head football coach there, turned to him and said, y'all need to take care of business on Thanksgiving weekend. Of course, Texas Tech wraps up the season against Texas in what will be Texas's final game in the Big 12. And Yormark said, look, that he was going to be there in Lubbock for that game, and that effectively the Red Raiders needed to go take care of business. And it was a lot of shade at Texas on their way out of the Big 12 toward the SEC. Well, today, Steve Sarkisian was meeting with reporters at his Monday press conference for Texas here as they're getting ready to open the season. And he was asked about Brett Yormark's comments, and Steve Sarkisian responded this way.
You know, I got a letter from the commissioner about sportsmanship the day before that speech, and so I'm trying to figure out, about what are we promoting to our student athletes and then to go say those types of things. So I'm not guessing he's going to have his Thanksgiving dinner with us the night before that game. But the reality of it is, a lot's been made about that. A lot's been made about a T-shirt being made. Let's not make this more than it is, man. This is about us. We're focused on what we get to do and why we get to do it. We're proud to be part of the University of Texas, and we know who's behind us, and that's okay. Now let's go play.
So, by the way, I think Sarkisian's response was perfect, and it's probably a result of having the benefit of 3 days to think about it and craft a response, knowing that he was going to be asked about it in that press conference. But the line about I got a letter from the commissioner about sportsmanship the day before that, that quote, that's a shot across the bow to Brett Yormark, and that quite honestly makes Brett Yormark look pretty small and the Big 12 look pretty small as Texas is on the way out. What's going to be an interesting paradigm shift is a lot of people love to hate Texas, and that's true. They get a lot of attention because they're a big brand, but they're a big brand that hasn't won in a long time. They're sort of like the college football version of the Dallas Cowboys. They're undeniably interesting. They're a big brand. They're loud. There's always a lot of attention and noise around them for a lot of whatever reasons. And they've been great at parts of their history, but it hasn't been that way for a long time for the Texas Longhorns. We've talked about it last week that they have one 10-win season since 2009 when they lost to Bama in the national championship game. One in 13 years. So they're easy to jab but I'm going to be very interested how the rest of the SEC replies when you're no longer looking across the fence at Texas. They reside in your home. They're not Big 12 Texas anymore. They're SEC Texas. So, it's almost like your crazy uncle that you can call him your crazy uncle, but if someone else calls him your crazy uncle, hey, that's my uncle. Is that what the rest of the SEC is going to have to do when Texas is being attacked by the rest of college football starting next season because they're one of yours? It's like when SEC fans line up and talk about all the championships the league has won when since 2009, Bama's got 5 of them, 6 of them. Oof. I mean, convenient when it's yours sort of thing. For whatever it's worth, I don't think Texas is winning the Big 12 this year. Okay, it's after further review. Brooke Kirchhofer next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Traction, TractionSports.com. Traction, where champions are made. And every day I tell you about how you can go train at Traction. Maybe you're an adult looking to get into better shape. Maybe you're a professional athlete or a college athlete. Or maybe for most of you, it's where your sons and daughters train to become the best version of themselves in whatever sport. But I want to remind you about Traction Elite Physical Therapy as well. If you go to the website, you can click on the Traction Elite Physical Therapy link as well. That Elite PT, the Traction PT clinic, is right there on the Traction campus on Burbank. And if you want to get back in the game for whatever it is that you do, Traction can help. You want to get back to that active lifestyle? If you're a golfer, you're into ancient athletes, maybe you run, swim, maybe you want to play pickleball. And whatever injury you have that's keeping you from doing that, Traction is all about getting you functionally better and stronger to get back in the game. TractionSports.com. Remember, you choose your physical therapist. Choose the best. Choose Traction Physical Therapy. TractionSports.com.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Developing story from ESPN's Adam Schefter. The Cardinals don't plan to activate quarterback Kyler Murray off the PUP list by tomorrow's deadline. That would leave him ineligible at least the first 4 games of the season. Murray's coming back from a torn ACL. Cards also released QB Colt McCoy, so either Josh Dobbs or rookie Clayton Tune will likely start week 1. ESPN NFL front office insider Louis Riddick.
There's just no telling what they're thinking and what their plan is. You could be thinking they're going to veer left and they veer right. I really don't know. It's one of the more perplexing organizations in the NFL from my standpoint and the way I see them. I just don't know what the hell they're going to do from year to year. And this is just another indication of that.
Louis Riddick on Canty and Carlin. Another strong performance off the bench for Team USA by Austin Reeves at the FIBA World Cup. 15 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. United States rolled by Greece 109-81 and is advanced to round 2. Blue Jays third baseman Matt Chapman put on the injured list with a sprained right middle finger. Toronto 2.5 games out of the final AL wildcard spot. American Francis Tiafoe among today's first-round winners at the U.S. Open. Live coverage on ESPN.
When it comes to hiring, you don't need to be doing all the searching, screening, and interviewing yourself. What you need is Indeed, the end-to-end solution that makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire quality candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Yusu. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Chris Marler from Saturday Down South, 1 hour from right now. Let's hear more what Brian Kelly had to say, previewing LSU, Florida State. That's in 15 minutes. Right now, very pleased to be joined by Brooke Kirchhofer from NewOrleans.football. They got a new video up. Mike, Brooke, and oh my God, sorry. I completely just blanked. Nick. I completely blanked on Nick. Why did I blank on Nick? I'm staring right at him. Brooke's with us. Hey, Brooke, how are you?
Hey, Matt, I'm good. How are you?
Don't tell Nick. I just like, my brain went blank.
I didn't know if my mic was hot. I was ready to help. I just wasn't sure if you could hear me.
Do not tell Nick. Everybody's going to tell Nick. Nick, I'm so sorry. I know your name. I know you. I don't know why. Like, I'm looking at this picture of the three of you doing the show, and I just completely blanked. It just was not coming to my brain. Anyway, that was a horribly embarrassing moment. I'm going to move on. Okay, so 53-man roster cut down Tuesday. What do you think is going to be the most difficult decision, a position or player?
Ooh, if I'm looking at the entire roster, the two for me that are really, really hard is the guard position. I actually left Andres Pete off of my 53-man roster position. I'm sorry, off my 53-man roster projection. Mm-hmm. Here, we're both having a good start to this show here, Matt.
At least you got the guy's name right.
Yeah, right. No, for me, it's a tough one, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints end up picking Andres Pete to make the roster just because of his veteran leadership, and he's been on the team for a while. For me, I think it's time to move on at that position. You've got guys that are younger, healthier, that are maybe the future at that position. And look, he missed a lot of training camp with an injury. James Hurst came in, proved that he is the starting guard now at that position, and Andres Pete has almost really been kind of left behind. He was working with the 2s and 3s in preseason, and then, of course, we saw against the Texans last night. He just really could not win his one-on-one battles in that game. I would not be surprised if he's the surprise cut.
By the way, Brooke, I agree with you. I don't think Pete makes the team. So my question, because they're going to keep Nick Saldiveri, right? I mean, I'd be surprised if they didn't. A 4th-round draft pick out of Old Dominion. They like him a lot. So who's the other backup lineman? Like, who do you think is that other swing player that they keep?
Yeah, so right now for my 53, I'll give you all the guys that I'm keeping. I'm keeping Ramczyk, Trevor Penning, Eric McCoy, Cesar Ruiz, James Hurst. Those are the locks, the starters, the starting 5. Outside of that, I've got Calvin Throckmorton, Nick Saldiveri, Landon Young, and Max Garcia. I kept Max Garcia because we've seen so many issues when the Saints don't have a true backup center. That's why I'm keeping him there. But with Saldiveri, Throckmorton, and Landon Young, I mean, they move those guys around a little bit. I also wouldn't be surprised if the Saints are eyeing a veteran guard when these 53-man roster cuts come out. And I wouldn't be surprised, too, if one of those cuts come out, too, that they're eyeing another punter across the league. I don't think they were thrilled with the camp Blake Gillikin had. I don't think Lou Headley beat him out by any means. So it's another interesting position that I would keep my eyes on probably Wednesday, Thursday, see if the Saints go grab a punter.
So, Brooke, that's really interesting because I could have absolutely believed we're having a conversation about a specialist today, but I believed it would have been place kicker, not punter. So We'll put an asterisk next to that and keep an eye. But let me ask you about Lutz. And by the way, is it Blake Group or Groupie?
Groupie.
Groupie. Okay, that's what I've been saying. Okay. Is this actually I know Peter King had he floated the trade rumor last week, but I mean Peter King and Sean Payton are close, so if he's floating that, he's getting it from somewhere. But is that realistic, Brooke? I mean, are they committed? Are they pot committed to Will Lutz?
No, it is a true competition at the kicker battle, and they told Will Lutz that when they brought Blake Groupie in way back months ago. They said, "Look, we're going to push you. We want to see how you can compete. We want to see if you can earn that starting role," which is tough to hear as a guy who's been in New Orleans for 7 years. And Matt, I think this speaks volumes. We talked to Will Lutz after the game yesterday, pulled him to the side, and we just said, "How have you kind of handled all the emotions and the last few months?" He goes, "Look, I feel like I've had the best training camp of my life." And then he started getting really upset and emotional. He actually had to step away from the camera when I asked him how much New Orleans has meant to him. So you can feel that this battle is very close between Will Lutz and Blake Groupie. He spoke highly of Blake Groupie, which I think was really big of him. When we talked to Blake Groupie, he was about as emotional and didn't necessarily look or feel defeated, but you can just feel the angst these two have felt over the last 2 months. And look, whoever they go with, the other will be a starting kicker in the NFL somewhere. I don't think they move on from Will Lutz yet.
Okay.
It's one of those situations where if they want to go young, like if you see Groupie as a guy who's the 7-year answer, sure. I don't think people are going to be mad about that, but I also don't think they're ready to move on from Will Lutz yet.
Brooke Kirchhofer is with us, NewOrleans.football, of course, with Mike Triplett and Nick Underhill, who's there as well. Does a great job. Nick Underhill is the man's name. She's on Twitter at Brooke Chesney if you want to give her a follow. So we talked about Pete. A couple of other veterans I'm interested in are Zach Bond and Traquan Smith. Those guys making this team?
Traquan Smith is interesting. So we haven't seen him, goodness, it's been probably several weeks since we've seen him. The first time we saw him was last night on the sidelines. I tried to pick Dennis Allen's brain about that. Didn't really get much on where Traquan Smith is at in his rehab. He just said he's still rehabbing and he'll be back with the team soon. So with the 53-man roster cuts, so if you want Traquan Smith to return from IR, he has to make the initial 53-man roster. So on my initial roster, I put Traquan Smith there with an asterisk, and I also put Keith Kirkwood there because what I think is going to happen is they're not going to put Keith Kirkwood on the initial 53, but then they will. So as soon as Traquan Smith is put on IR after he makes the roster, I think that's when they elevate Keith Kirkwood to the 53-man roster. I also think they might keep Shaq Davis if Traquan Smith is as injured as we think he is. He's somebody who has gone up and won the contested catches. Now, how is his blocking game? Of course, that's something that Traquan Smith has added to his arsenal. That's something the Saints like. He's the guy that's kind of going to do the dirty work. He just can't stay healthy. So with Jack Davis, you've got a guy who is standing at a tall 5'8". He's a rookie receiver, undrafted. He's somebody I think you can build, but then you also have A.T. Perry too, that they do a lot of similar things. Wide receiver is also a group that has had injuries in recent years. We hope Michael Thomas stays healthy this year, but if he doesn't, and if Rashid Shaheed doesn't come back from the injury he's been dealing with in camp, you better keep some guys. And so I think they're probably going to go on the heavy end and keep 6 wide receivers, but then that leaves a number coming from another position group. Or how about this? You might not have a fullback this year.
Is that real? Like, I mean, I think we're all just assuming Adam Prentice makes the team. Is that just an erroneous assumption?
So we were hearing a few weeks ago that was a possibility. I'm not sure that stands this week. We'll see. I don't think if Shaq Davis would have had a dynamite game last night, I think it changes things. Or if one of these guys that we've really been, for example, a Lucas Kroll, people have really been pushing for him to make the team. I don't think he did enough last night to solidify the Saints keeping 5 tight ends. I mean, keeping 4 tight ends is kind of crazy.
Right.
So, and they're going to keep Jimmy Graham. They're going to keep not Adam Troutman. Jimmy Graham, Taysom Hill, Juwan Johnson, and Foster Moreau. You're keeping those 4. And so it kind of gets a little difficult now if you want to go heavy on receiver and heavy on tight end. Where does that number come from? So for me, I'm thinking you keep Ellis Merriweather. You have Kendre Miller. You have Jamal Williams. Of course, we know that Alvin's going to miss the first 3 games. I think maybe Ellis Merriweather is a better route than keeping a fullback, but we'll see what happens. I doubt they eliminate that position, though.
Making the math work is why this is so fascinating. And in Brooke, I always say we always talk about it being like the final 53, but it's never the final 53. It's always the first. No. It's the first 53 because like the situation you just spelled out, which could very well happen with Traquan Smith if they keep him and then put him on IR and then re-sign another receiver. So it'll be fascinating to see how it plays out. Can I get a thought on Zach Bond? Do you think he's safe?
I think Jalen Smith won that 3rd linebacker spot. And I love his story. I love that it's still possible for these veterans who are kind of journeymen in the NFL for him to kind of deal with injuries. And he came in, I remember in Costa Mesa, and we just kept looking at each other from the sidelines like, is this the Mario Davis 2.0? I mean, the guy's range is incredible. And he plugged right in. Didn't miss a beat. He was great in the 2 joint practices. He was great in the second preseason game with 2 huge 3rd down stops. Then you saw him in the preseason game last night. We were kind of like, why is he still in the game? Like, to me, he solidified his role. Take him out. Like, you cannot afford injuries right now. And from what I've heard from the linebackers coach, Michael Hodges, he loves that guy. So to me, Zach Bond is now a true backup, and he's going to get his reps, in my opinion, on special teams. Like, that's where Zach Bond will shine this year.
But you think Bond will make the team? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
I think he has to make the team because they lost so many guys on special teams. Like, Darren Rizzi has some tough decisions. I mean, you look at the roster they had last year and the special teams guys, I mean, you still have to have those on the team, And I think that's where Zach Bond is going to maybe earn his keep with the Saints.
Maybe Andrew Dowell's injury certainly exacerbated that issue there. She's on Twitter at Brooke Chesney, NewOrleans.football. She is Brooke Kirchhofer. Anything else we haven't talked about that you think is relevant, worth mentioning as far as either a position or a player?
Let me look at my list really quick.
I mean,
make sure we didn't miss anybody.
They're going to keep 3 quarterbacks, right? I mean, they're going to keep Hayner. It's always interesting, Brooke, where you talk about the spots with numbers, right? So like the secondary is interesting if there's always a good player.
That's exactly where I was going. Yeah. And two, it's another position group where we didn't really see a whole lot in the 3rd preseason game. And most of the time you're not going to see that. But I was trying to decipher, do you keep Jonathan Abram or do you keep Lonnie Johnson? To me, they're very similar in the way they play, but I think you get a better safety in Jonathan Abram. And to me, he's just made 1 or 2 more plays. Ugo Amadi is going to make this team. He has looked really good on special teams and in the secondary. And then with cornerback, I actually kept Anthony Johnson over Isaac Yiadom. He's another undrafted rookie. He's a longer corner, and as Dennis Allen said, they're kind of hard to find. We have kind of the super skilled, quick, smart, cornerbacks and Marshall Lattimore and Pulse Debo and Alontae Taylor. I think because Anthony Johnson is a little bit different in the way he looks and the way he plays corner. And to me, Isaac Yiadom gave up more plays in the preseason than Anthony Johnson. Maybe you keep him too, which is kind of crazy. I'm sure people are going to come at me and ask me why I'm keeping 3 undrafted rookies, but those are the 3 that really impressed me in camp.
Brooke Kirchhofer, great stuff as always. NewOrleans.football on Twitter at Brooke Chesney. We appreciate it, Brooke. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate the time.
Of course. Be well. Really, a lot to consider. But I think so much of the conversation with Brooke there, I think what it illustrates is how much context revolves around every single player. Because it's not just, do we like this player? It's, okay, we like this player, but what can he do aside from just playing his position? And do we have a roster spot available, or do we need to have another? Like, the thing about Adam Prentice is fascinating. I mean, the Saints are one of the few teams that keeps a fullback. But could you justify just saying, all right, we're going to keep Ellis Merriweather, let him be a fullback / running back, and not keep Prentice because you're keeping a 3rd quarterback, you're keeping a 4th tight end, you're keeping a 6th receiver. Well, if you do all that, you got to lose a spot somewhere. So, when guys can double dip, it makes them even more valuable. Fascinating stuff. All right, it's after further review. We'll knock out a quick break. Monday show is brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, door siding, and now interior window shutters as well. Check them out at ReliefWindows.com. Let me knock out a break, y'all. We'll come back. Brian Kelly met with reporters earlier today to preview the Florida State game. We'll let you hear a little more of what Brian Kelly had to say. We'll get to that next. AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. I had a message earlier today on it was a DM on Instagram from someone who said, "Hey Matt, what's that mosquito product that you're always talking about? Where can I get it?" It's the Aeon Mosquito Barrier, and it's at Clegg's Nursery. I get it. It's almost September, but it still feels like summer. And if you like to spend time outside, you're probably dealing with skeeters. Well, be done with them forever like I am. Like I've mentioned before, we got a pool and we have water behind our house as well. And I don't ever deal with mosquitoes. We've never had our home sprayed by a company. Like, the only thing I use is this Aeon Mosquito Barrier from Clegg's. It's a tube, has granules in it. You fill it with water, shake it, hang it on your property line. You're done with the mosquitoes 90 days at a time. I don't know how it works. I'm not going to try to explain it to you. All I know is that it does. And it's $24.99, like $25. I mean, what do you have to lose? It's at Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you to Clegg's Nursery.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa you've ever had. And Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Scoocha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Football season is finally here. Make your picks now for week 1 in the 2023 1045 ESPN Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em at 1045ESPN.com. Weekly winners will receive a Twin Peaks gift card, and the first place season-long champion will receive a 75-inch 4K TV and soundbar. It's the 2023 1045 ESPN Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em. Twin Peaks eats, drinks, scenic views. The computer just decided to move really slow right there.
I can't remember Nick Underhill's name. Hughes doesn't have a promo read. What are we doing? It's game week. Lock in. Come on.
Well, we've prepared for this moment all off season, and now it was time to put the preparation to the test, and it just hasn't gone well.
Oh, man. Man. Brian Kelly's press conference was notable as well. Cobble asked a question about Jaden Daniels, or I'm sure it was a great question, Cobble. You're really good at what you do. But dude, I'm sitting there. We're sitting there in the press conference, and Cobble asked a question about Jaden Daniels and maturity or whatever, and Brian Kelly starts to answer it, and you hear this. If you're listening, you heard this like kaboom. Well, Darren DeQuano, who's a great dude, who's is a videographer, been forever at WAFB. His chair broke, so it's the Lawton Room, and it's stadium style seating, right? If you've never been in the Lawton Room, and so if you're looking at like Tiger Stadium, you're familiar. The Lawton Room is the building that sort of juts off of the stadium directly across from Mike the Tiger's cage, and they have a lot of trophies in there, and displays to all the guys in the NFL and bowl wins and All-American. It's really cool. It's a really cool, building off the side of Tiger Stadium. And there's a team room. It's the Lawton Room. And so it's stadium-style seating. The whole team can fit in there. And there's a stage, and that's where Brian Kelly does his press conference. And so the seats are like a fold-down seat, right? Just like in a movie theater or something where a classroom, it's a padded fold-down seat. Well, Brian Kelly starts answering the question, and Darren DeQuano's seat just breaks away. So here was Brian Kelly. Here's the moment.
Situations where we're going against our defense. We tried. You broke the chair. That's $20. Listen, we're on a renewal plan here. We're trying to get everything taken care of. It's a slow process. I know. It's crazy. Wow. You should see, yeah. Oh, wow. Rough group.
So what you didn't hear there was Glenn Gilbo saying, mix in a salad. And that's why Brian Kelly said, whoa, tough group. Maybe the funny part about this is Darren DeQuano probably weighs 180 pounds. And so then Darren starts throwing barbs like, man, I can't even believe with some of these sports writers over here, and I'm the one who breaks the check. So Darren's a super nice guy. He unknowingly starts taking jabs at the sport. That's why Brian Kelly was like, oh, tough crowd. Listen again. See if you can hear the chair. If you're listening, you can hear the chair crack, and then Brian Kelly. And then if you're listening, you can hear Gilbo off mic say, mix in a salad. Here you go.
Situations where we're going against our defense. We tried. You broke the chair. That's $20. Listen, we're on a renewal plan here. We're trying to get everything taken care of. It's a slow process. I know. It's crazy. Wow. You should see, yeah. Oh, wow. Rough group. Going Stones. Situations where we're going against them.
Oh, man, it's so good. Anyway, and it reminded me of the other great press conference interruption moment that I can recall anyway in my time covering LSU. See if you remember this, Jim.
I know.
John Emery, another Cheyenne, Louisiana. Hold on a second.
Wow. Rough group.
Hey, guys. Hey.
Going Stones.
Oh, wait, hold on. I got the Brian Kelly one still playing. Sorry. Hold on. I'll mute Brian Kelly real quick. We'll go back to it. Here you go. This was Ed Ogeron on signing day. Remember, listen to the player that he's talking about.
John Emery, another great young man from Cheyenne, Louisiana. Hold on a second. Hey, guys. Hey, I'm having a press conference, okay? Thank you. Great young man. Out of scrimmage, we wanted to get bigger. I'll stop. Hey, stop the ball, stop the drill. I'm having a press conference. Thank you.
That was an all-time great Ed Ogeron press conference moment. Like he even says, "I'm stopping," before he goes to tell him to shut up and stop with the balls. Oh man, those things can be really stuffy sometimes. So when you have off-script moments, they can be really funny, and that happened today. Brian Kelly also mentioned Leah Van. For those that missed it, Leah Van from The Advocate took a job covering the University of Texas. So her last day was last Tuesday at The Advocate. So the chair that Leah always sits in the press conference was empty today, and Brian Kelly made reference. Of course, Leah and Brian had it was playful. It was way blown out of proportion by the national media types outside of Louisiana. It was a fun, playful moment a year ago when Leah was a couple minutes late to the press conference. Brian Kelly called her out, and they had their little back and forth. But Brian had a funny mention about that today with Leah's chair being empty. He's like, "Is this in memory of Leah? Or you can sit there. It's fine. She just went to Texas." But I can appreciate Brian Kelly's levity. His dad jokes are not funny. They're funny because they're lame. But I respect very much the fact that he tries and doesn't take himself too seriously. Which, tell me if you disagree with this, but that feels kind of counter to what we all thought of him when he took this job, right? Because none of us knew. I didn't know Brian Kelly at all when he took this job. I just knew what you knew about the red-faced guy, angry, yelling on the sideline. I mean, he brings a lot of levity to things and will be self-deprecating at time and will point out comedy and fun situations when they arise. So anyway, I appreciate it. That was a light moment today at the press conference. I'll get back into some of the other on-field stuff here in just a quick second. Love telling you about the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. That's WilliamsonEye.com. If you want to see 2020, call the Williamson Eye Center. Remember, you can always get your eye exam done at the Williamson Eye Center. Eye care, eyewear, eye surgery. They say it all the time. So eye care, get that annual eye exam done. 7 locations across the greater Baton Rouge area, the newest down in the River Parish region in Lutcher. Eyewear, if you wear contacts or glasses, they can sell them to you. And eye surgery. If you want to see 2020 without contacts or glasses, the Williamson Eye Center can help. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. A couple of things that Brian Kelly pointed out during his press conference as well. I did ask the question about Sage Ryan, and I was interested. I wanted an update on Sage Ryan and then what role he was going to play. Here was the update from Brian Kelly on Sage Ryan, considering the last time we saw him, the media saw him, he was injured in Tiger Stadium in that scrimmage. Here was the update.
He's fine. It was a stinger, but it cleared up, and he was able to get back into practice the next day.
So the great news is just a stinger, was back at practice the next day, nothing severe. Sage Ryan's playing. So I also asked, we saw him play corner. Is he a corner? Is he safety? What's he doing?
We are going to use him both at the nickel and corner position. So he's been cross-trained. A lot of the technical work has been at corner because he knows the nickel position really well. But he's one of our fastest players. You know, he's typically in, you know, when we're talking about GPS speed, he's typically in the high 21 range, and he's topped out at 22. So he can run. He's smart. But I think the thing that has separated him is his ability to tackle in space. So, you know, he's going to play to the field, and I think he gives us some great flexibility.
No, largely we tend to, especially the beginning of a season when optimism abounds for everybody, we tend to accentuate our favorite team's strengths, and we tend to diminish or explain away weaknesses. And I don't think that's an LSU thing. I think that's an everywhere thing. If you go to College Station today, they're all, I'm sure, hyping up Connor Wigman when we don't really know what he's going to be. I'm concerned about LSU secondary. I am. I think that that has to be a very real, very valid concern. You were not great in the secondary a year ago. I think you were good, but you weren't elite. And you lost everybody, basically. And the fact that you're trying to convert a player that's been a safety for his 2 years in Baton Rouge to cornerback tells you you're not settled with the guys you have playing cornerback. You're still looking for options there. And when you're staring at a challenge in Florida State with Jordan Travis, who is a sixth-year senior, this is Jordan Travis's sixth collegiate season, and he's a guy that threw for over 3,000 yards last year. Yes, that's a concern. When they return their top receiver and a quarterback that threw for 3,000 yards last year, yes, I think you have to objectively look at LSU secondary and say, that's a concern. So for me, I think the bigger question is, how do you protect that secondary? And that's pass rush, and that's your offense scoring points. Well, I think LSU's offense is going to score points. I think they're going to score points on everybody they play because I think they are deep and talented and experienced and going to be really, really good offensively. Can they get a pass rush? I think that is going to be as important as anything on the defense. And, you know, Harold Perkins is going to be a part of that, a giant part of that. And while they've moved him to inside backer, you know, something Brian Kelly said today was sort of that while Perkins is going to play inside, they're going to move him around a ton, and that's going to be a real challenge for defenses to figure out what to do with Perkins.
Harold's going to be able to impact the game in the things that we're going to do with him. He's going to move around. You won't see him just lining up in the middle of our defense. He's going to be, where's Harold Perkins? And you're going to have to find him, and you're going to have to account for him. Just like we're going to have to account for Jared Verse. You know, we're going to have many different ways to handle Jared Verse. You know, we're going to have slide and tight ends and chips and doubles and all kinds of things. He's that good of a player, and they're going to have to find Harold Perkins as well.
I mean, that's if when the game ends on Sunday and T-Bob and I are sitting there at Don Juan doing whiskey and wine, and I look and I go, okay, I think LSU scores 30 points in this game. I do. I think LSU will probably score low 30s. And I think the determining factor of whether or not LSU won the game is going to be, were they able to impact Jordan Travis with a pass rush, to get him off his spot, to make him uncomfortable. So I think when you look at TFLs, pressures, quarterback hits, sacks, that's going to be the stat that really tells you the story of the game from LSU's defensive perspective. All right, it's after further review. Monday shows is always brought to you by Relief Windows. We'll knock out a quick break. We did have football this past weekend. It was week 0 in college football. We'll give you some week 0 takeaways. Still have Tigers and the Pros coming up in about 15 minutes. Muse will have that. Chris Marler from Saturday Down South, always one of our favorites. He's coming up in about 30 minutes from right now. We're going to take a look at Jimmy Graham's game from this past Sunday and his continued emergence throughout this training camp. We got a ton to do here on this Monday edition of AFR as we head into game week, officially game week. Y'all, I'm fired up to be here. Stick around with us. It's AFR presented by Relief Windows.
AFR.
Was having a conversation this weekend, actually, with my friends over at ProCharge, ProChargeEV.com. There was an AFR listener who lives in Tennessee and has locations of his business all over the country and said, hey, we're looking at putting in EV chargers at all of our locations. Will ProCharge come to Tennessee and all these different spots? Yes. ProCharge is based here in Baton Rouge. ProChargeEV.com is the website, but they will service anywhere in the Gulf South or even outside of the Gulf region if you need their services. I'll mention it. I mention it every day when I talk about ProCharge. It doesn't matter if you drive an electric vehicle or like the idea of an electric vehicle. It doesn't matter. You can't go onto the road without seeing EVs everywhere. Well, they have to charge. So the infrastructure is building. Might as well be at your place of business. ProChargeEV.com. Learn more online at ProChargeEV.com.
Bayou Ford has $8,000 off MSRP, plus 1.9% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks, along with Bayou Ford's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Hey, I got to shout out Seth Ponville. You might ask, who is Seth Ponville? You might ask,
who is Seth Ponville?
I'm glad you asked. So Seth Ponville is a listener here of AFR. Lives down in Houma. Shout out. And sent me a text with screenshots for verification. Seth Ponville had one of the more impressive parlay wins ever. He had a 7-pick parlay that paid out at plus 92.23. yo. And he hit it. Now, the bets, I can't see specifically, but these are all totals that I would assume are all totals on college football from Saturday, right? It was under 49, over 45, over 66.5, under 50, under 54, over 55.5, under 57.5. So we did a 7-pick parlay on the totals from the 7 college football games on Saturday and hit every one of them. Can I get like a ding or something for my guy? Come on, Muse. We're asleep at the wheel here. Like, let's show some respect for Seth Ponville. Have you ever hit anything like that? Plus 9,223?
Actually, yes. But it was, yes. And you know what? It's archived because it was when I was doing early line. It was a 16-leg parlay.
16?
Every regional 1 seed to beat their 4 seed. It was not this past baseball season, but the season before that.
What did it pay out?
Like 500. But it would have been more, but they screwed up the 2 of the games got postponed due to rain, and it voided in the parlay. So it ended up being 14 out of 14 instead of 16 out of 16.
And it was plus 500?
No, that's what it paid out. Like, not.
What did you bet?
Like $20, I think. It wasn't much because the odds were like plus. The odds were something like plus 8,000 or something on it. I don't know. I'd have to go back and.
All right, this isn't about you. This is about Seth Ponville.
Well, you asked.
I did, but I don't need the long drawn out explanation. It's a good idea though. I mean, like, how many times I think a 1 has beaten a 16 once?
What do you mean? No, like.
I mean, a 16 has beaten a 1 once, or has it ever happened?
Well, that's in the NCAA basketball tournament.
No, the baseball. I know.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I don't know. It was a risk because I actually did research on it, and it hadn't happened in like 5 years. So I was like, okay, so it's not where all 1 seeds just went undefeated.
Well, we've seen 1s lose in the basketball tournament now. I mean,
yeah.
Who was the team?
It was the Terriers, or something like that.
Some team from
Baltimore County.
Yeah, USMBC. Yeah,
Baltimore
USMBC.
County. Yeah.
It blew out Virginia.
Destroyed
blew
them.
the doors off Virginia. Anyway, we are getting totally sidetracked. So he had, on the same day, Seth Ponville did, that 7-pick parlay and a 4-pick parlay that had an anytime scorer for Bukayo Saka, anytime scorer Kylian Mbappe, anytime scorer Zapata, and anytime scorer Olivier Giroud. His $5 wager paid out $143. So your boy bet $8 and ended up winning about $500.
Shout out.
Not a bad day.
No.
Shout out Seth Ponville. It pays. It's way more fun. It's way more fun when you wager. All right, it's after further review. Hit me with a little college football music there, if you would, Muse. So college football, yeah. Hey, Muse.
Hey, what's up?
So I was watching. What was the game on the CBS Sports Network? Was it?
That was Jacksonville State UTEP. Jacksonville State UTEP.
Yeah, it was.
That one, yep.
So when Aaron Taylor was calling.
Sure.
Yeah. Hey, you know what theme music they used?
I do because I watched the game. They used the
Your
CBS.
Precious SEC on CBS theme.
It just wasn't good.
Which
it didn't
they
hit
use
the same.
for everything.
But it didn't hit the same.
It doesn't matter.
It does.
It
matter.
doesn't.
It does.
It doesn't. Point is they use it for everything. Every college football game on CBS, they use that theme. So I don't hear you whining when the Big Ten on CBS is using that theme song. Why did you go with this one?
Because we always go with the CBS one. I thought we'd mix it up a little bit.
You knew I was going to say that, didn't you?
No,
so you decided
I didn't.
to try to.
I really didn't.
You try to yard sale my
It's right
bit.
here.
Yeah, click it, please. This one sucks. This is terrible.
This is not. It's not bad.
This is
It's
terrible.
just not great like CBS.
ESPN's college football is so disappointing, and now they're getting rid of coming to your city. Did you hear about that?
I saw that, and that is unacceptable. First of all,
like, why you don't change just for the sake of changing?
No.
You don't change something. It's like when Monday Night Football is trying to get creative. No. Like, the Monday Night Football theme is iconic. We do not need to change anything about Monday Night Football. Like,
and
keep the things that's iconic.
It was perfect for game day because you go to everybody's friggin' town. Like, what are you doing?
It was perfect. Anyway, all right, Muse, hit me with some college football takeaways from this weekend. What you got?
Oh, well, Rich Rodriguez, he's the head coach of Jacksonville State.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I had no idea.
Yeah, I think about 98% of the college football loving world learned that on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Jacksonville State, though, was the Otters' best play of the weekend. So I went heavy on Jacksonville State. Thank God, too, because I lost literally every other bet.
Well, I mean, it's week 0, Matt. It's a dangerous game.
Yes, it proved to be. But thank God I made a 5x bet than my normal play on that Jacksonville State game, and it basically voided all my other losses. And with the juice, I ended up with a profitable day, but barely.
You love to see it.
But thankfully, yes. So thank you, Rich Rod. And boy, did they try to lose that one.
Yes, they tried to give it away.
Boy, did they try to give it away late. But then turns out UTEP stinks.
Yeah, that's a good takeaway as well. UTEP not good.
Yep, that's it. What else you
got? Vanderbilt. They cannot sell out a 28,000-seat stadium.
That was brutal. All right, I have a question.
Okay, I think I know where you're going with this. What you got?
Well, the game was rain delayed by an hour and a half.
I get it.
So it was a 6:30 scheduled kick. It didn't kick till 8:11, I believe. So, I mean, if you're going to make the effort to go watch a game at Vanderbilt anyway, and then they tell you, hey, thanks for coming, but we're actually going to have you sit here for about an hour and a half before we actually start this thing, and you're going to have to sit in the rain, I'm probably going deuces. I'm hitting up Broadway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you. I'm just saying, I mean, so much is always made about Vanderbilt's attendance. I mean, this feels like kind of, low-hanging fruit for them, 28K, and they just didn't get it done. I like the scoreboard hanging from the cranes, though. That was pretty cool.
I got one for you.
What you got?
Notre Dame's winning the Natty.
Oh, yeah?
Get ready.
You're that sold?
They blew out Navy.
They did.
They got to be awesome.
Sam Hartman's got to do something about the hair and beard, though, man.
You don't like it?
I don't.
Okay.
If he trimmed it up, I think it'd look a little bit better. Yeah, I don't like that. See, I was actually going to say, you hired a defensive coordinator to coach a triple option team when you kick a field goal down 42-3. That's another one of my takeaways.
Oof.
Yeah.
Navy. I don't mind him getting the goose egg off the board.
Sad field goal.
I'm not going to have any problem with our servicemen and women. You know what? You go out. You flew all the way to Ireland. Don't fly back with a bagel.
Yeah, I guess.
Put that 3 spot on the board. I'm okay with it.
Air it out. Okay. And then also Caleb Williams is a good quarterback. I learned that again this week.
And USC's defense is still poo?
I'm not sold on a man. 28 points to San Jose State. That's interesting. That's interesting. It is week 0. Maybe they're just a little slow out the gates, or maybe Alex Grinch stinks.
I'd also like to point out that there was a play in that UTEP game, UTEP-Jacksonville State, where Aaron Taylor, there was targeting. The Jacksonville State player lowered his head, crown of the helmet to the ear hole, knocked the player's helmet off. Were you watching it at this point?
I was not watching it at that point.
Aaron Taylor is essentially explaining why that's not targeting. Like, sir, that is, I hate the rule, but that is the quintessential definition of textbook targeting. He lowered, launched, and ear holed a guy, knocked his helmet off. Like, that is forcible contact to the head and neck area.
It is.
That is targeting. You will never have an easier targeting call than that, sir. And then there was a play in the Ohio-San Diego State game where the ref got hit in the face.
Extreme accuracy by the quarterback, honestly, I think.
But what I would actually like to point out about this play, which is more important to note than the ref getting hit in the face. Number one, there was blatant holding where the defender's jersey was tugged and was not called on the play. The defender, just before the quarterback lets the ball go into the ref's dome, the defender grabs the quarterback's face mask. So the holding was not called, the face mask was not called, and then the throw itself also was intentional grounding.
That's true.
Like, he's being pursued by 3 defenders and just gets rid of the ball and throws it right into the ref's face.
And it didn't get past the line of scrimmage.
And that didn't get called. So on the same play, there was holding, a face mask, and intentional grounding, none of which was called. And because all refs are bad at their job, that ref got to eat it right in the face. Those are our week 0 takeaways.
And he's the guy responsible for spotting the ball. So he just had to go pick it up after it got hit him in the face and spot it.
Embarrassing. All refs are bad at their jobs. Okay, it's after further review. Muse will have Tigers and the Pros next.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, 2 amazing hotel properties in Baton Rouge. Hey, remember, the Renaissance is where the LSU Tigers are staying the Friday night before every home football game. So, you got family coming in town on football weekend, stay where the Tigers are staying. Stay there at the Renaissance Hotel. Remember, Tallulah inside the Renaissance? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner every night of the week. So as we kind of move into the weekend, if you want to have that Saturday breakfast before you head to Tiger Stadium, you can have your breakfast at the Renaissance. You want that business lunch during the week or that elegant night on the town? Tallulah inside the Renaissance Hotel is an awesome option. And listen, when it comes to hosting your event, if the Renaissance is good enough to host the Tigers with all their breakout meeting rooms, position groups, team meetings, everything, they can certainly accommodate your wedding reception, your fundraiser, your awards banquet. It's the Renaissance Hotel right there on Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge. Tell them Matt sent you, would you call Allison and the gang over at the Renaissance Hotel.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. Fire departments in West Baton Rouge Parish had to go put out a fire on a property connected to the parish president. Why people he's connected to were burning and what he had to say about it, as residents there wonder why the rules they have to obey are not applying to parish leaders. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Wrapping up hour number 2, Musso has Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
Start with the National Football League. We'll go back to Saturday night because Jay Ward had himself a day for the Minnesota Vikings. 8 tackles in the game for Jay Ward. That led the team. Also a sack that included a forced fumble on said sack and a pass defended for Jay Ward. He was all over the field. The sack, of course, the Cardinals were backed up deep in their own territory inside the 22-yard line, and Ward the Cardinals, just lays him out there. Sack fumble. See if Jay Ward makes the team there, man. That'd be really good. I'd appreciate that. Jontre Kirkland, last night for the Saints, saw 85 returning kicks. Had a nice return, actually, on a kick, as well as 5 receptions for 63 yards in the ballgame off of 10 targets, a long of 19. Did have a pretty crucial drop in that game too as well. Late in the first half, the Saints were trying to go 2 minutes. Disappointing news for Cade York today as the Cleveland Browns cut the former Tiger and fourth-round pick. York went 4 of 8 in field goal attempts in the preseason games. Also in Saturday's preseason finale, missed an extra point against the Chiefs, but that was wiped out by a penalty. And now we'll be looking for a new home. Got a winning streak for Aaron Nola now. When it comes now at 3 games, 3 decisions in a row, 12-8, Nola shoved in this one against the Cardinals. 7 innings, shutout ball, 1 walk, and 9 punch-outs. Did it all on 95 pitches. Did Aaron Nola.
Pitching Ninja has a great video on Twitter of Nola from this weekend if you want to see it.
I mean, that's filthy. He's at a slider, and then, it's multiple two-seamer, the knees. He's just disgusting. Medals galore for the Tigers in the World Championships as well. Sha'Carri Richardson took home her 3rd medal, her 2nd gold. Mondo Duplantis gets the gold in the World Championship of the pole vault. And Vernon Norwood, 4x400 relay, takes home gold with the team. That's Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, LMFJ.com, LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Gentlemen, if you're thinking of popping the question, you need not go anywhere else. 2 locations in Baton Rouge. Also in Lafayette, New Orleans, and in Shreveport. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where all of Louisiana has gone to get engaged for more than 40 years. LMFJ.com. Hour 3, talk to Chris Marler from Saturday Down South. Stick around, AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com, Michelli.com. As we say, if you weigh or measure something, they sell, service, rent the products you use to weigh and measure. And so much of what Michelli does is about efficiency, to make you more effective and more profitable. For example, so many farmers, obviously, in our community in Louisiana. When it comes to weighing and measuring your crop yield, you got to be accurate. Well, those scales have to be calibrated correctly. What if they're off by a percentage point? Well, multiplied by the volume that you do, clearly that could be a very costly mistake. If not, it's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com, Michelli.com. To learn about all the different types of calibration services they offer, you can go to the website. There's a services tab. Explain everything to you. You want to request a quote. You want to ship your equipment to Michelli. Do that. They can come by and pick it up. They have on-site calibration. ISO 17025 accreditation available as well. Check them out online at Michelli.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Interesting quarterback news out of Arizona. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports Cardinals won't activate Kyler Murray off the PUP list by tomorrow's deadline, so he'll miss at least the first 4 games of the regular season. The Cards also cut Colt McCoy, so it'll likely be Josh Dobbs or rookie Clayton Tune starting the season opener. The United States locked up a second-round spot at the FIBA World Cup by beating Greece 109-81. Another strong performance from Austin Reeves off the bench, 15 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. He's been a hit at this tournament. ESPN NBA insider Brian Windhorst.
This guy is beloved. Now, he was beloved because he's a Laker, but he's winning over people, and especially his teammates, with how awesome his play has been. He comes in these games, and he is absolutely a difference maker right away. He draws fouls. He defends multiple positions. He doesn't foul. He does spectacular plays.
Michigan offensive coordinator Sherrone Moore will be suspended for this week's season opening game as part of the school's self-imposed penalties for violating NCAA rules that also led to head coach Jim Harbaugh's 3-game suspension.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
So. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. It is game week. Brian Kelly met with reporters earlier. We'll circle back to a lot of what BK had to say. And Saints wrapped up their preseason last night with a loss to the Texans. But Jimmy Graham, if he was on the roster bubble, he certainly solidified his spot on Sunday night. We'll get to that in about 15 minutes. Always appreciate a few minutes from this guy on Twitter at Vern Funquist, one of the most notable Twitter handles ever. He is Chris Marler from Saturday Down South. How are you, dude?
I'm good, man. It's game week. I'm excited. It took long enough to get here.
Did you watch any of Week 0?
I watched a lot of Week 0. I watched maybe. Listen, I don't want to say degenerate. I like to say dedicated, and I had some bets out.
Yeah.
So I watched a little bit of Navy Notre Dame. Had a date that night, so luckily I missed Vanderbilt. And that entire debacle with the stadium, and on top of that, their entire defense or offensive game plan seemed like it was not great in Nashville.
No. How did the date go?
I mean, about as well as Vandy's home field renovations, I guess. Let's just leave it at that.
Man, sorry to hear that, dude. Well, but the long-term prospects are beautiful. Like in the moment, it's not good, but long term, it looks great there at Vanderbilt. Maybe some potential there for you? Yeah? No?
The lightning delay as the date was not my best move.
The lightning delay, what?
I said hanging out in the tent during a lightning delay as the date.
Oh, is that what you did? Wait, hang on. Are we Bluetooth? Can you pick up the handset? Did I lose him? We lost him. All right, hey, when you call him, please tell him, pick up the handset. It was very hard to hear on Bluetooth. Okay, we'll call him back. I want to talk to Chris about some of the SEC picks for this season, and then want to start to look a little bit ahead to week 1 here with college football staring us right in the face. Chris Marler from Saturday Down South. Maybe I can get him to tell the story about the Vern Funquist handle. He had a massive Twitter following on the Vern Funquist handle, and then somehow lost that handle, and now has the Vern Funquist handle back, but there's no E at the end of Vern, so he's rebuilding it. But anyway, are we good? Okay, we got Chris back. Okay, so wait, did you actually go into a tent during a lightning day for the date?
No, it was supposed to be a joke, and it went over really well with me losing my phone, I guess, service as I was making this joke. So just in hindsight, the experience of the date, the joke about the date, and the Vandy first home opener all went about as you thought it would.
Understood. Got it. Okay, real quick, tell me the story again. I was telling the audience about the Twitter handle, Vern Funquist, but you had a Vern Funquist handle. How did you lose the old handle?
Oh, this is tough. Hopefully your listeners are all at a PG-13 rating and they're okay with this, because on April 1st, so April Fool's, I just made a very lighthearted joke about a Kirby Smart sex tape that wasn't real. And it went over very poorly. And I got reported by a bunch of Georgia fans that were like, that's where we draw the line, brother. You say whatever you want.
Oh, no. This sucks. I hate cell phones. Cell phones are great, but cell phones suck too. Do we still have him? So he was still talking. He was just still talking, wasn't he? Yeah. Okay. So your cell phone got eaten up whenever you said that Georgia fans were reporting you.
Yeah, it's probably them that's behind this again. This is great. I apologize. I mean, I'm currently back in Georgia right now, so this honestly might just be them. The call is coming from inside the house, but no, so I made the joke, and here's the thing: with it, you have something like this that happens with Twitter. They tell you it's like, hey, you can appeal it. There's 3 different levels of degrees of how offensive the joke would be. And it's or how big of a violation it would be. And I had never been in trouble, surprisingly, on Twitter with Twitter. Fans involve Twitter, right. Sure, but not actual Twitter.
Right.
And they were like, it takes 5 to 7 business days. We'll hear back from next week. I'm like, okay, cool. Bro, in 10 minutes tops, I had an email that was like, you're gone. Bye. Angel Hernandez in charge of Twitter for that day just kicked me out. Just out forever.
So you're back, but there's no E on Vern. So VERN right. Funquist, if you want to follow him on Twitter. I feel very badly because you had amassed a very large following on that Twitter handle.
Yeah, it's not my favorite. We're building it back up, but yeah. And now too is that now all of a sudden Elon's like you're allowed to profit off of it, right? And,
right.
And now I have to start from scratch. So I'm just making pennies, but it's fine. It'll be fine.
He is on Twitter at Vern Funquist, Chris Marler from Saturday Down South. I noticed that you pissed off a lot of Georgia fans again because you think Brock Bowers is not good at football.
This is insane behavior from the only thing that I said was Desmond Howard comes on, and you've watched college football for even longer than me, okay? I don't know how old you are. I know you moisturize, so I know you have better skin. I can't tell what your age is, but I'm 37.
I'm 41.
So I've been watching it for 36 years, and I'm like, okay, Desmond Howard brings up his Heisman candidate, right? And he says it's going to be Brock Bowers. And then he says, hey, here's the 4 teams I think are going to make the playoff. And all that's great. But you've been watching football as long as I have. There's not been a single tight end, I don't know, in my lifetime that I've seen invited to New York, for one. 2, I know I haven't seen one win one. And so if you are a tight end that's going to win the Heisman, you either have to put up a crazy, crazy season with like crazy numbers, or be on a team that's competing for a national championship. And if you look at Brock Bowers' numbers, I mean, last year he finished the regular season with 726 receiving yards and 6 receiving touchdowns. If that wins a Heisman in the year of our Lord, I don't know, anything post 1954, I would be shocked.
I know.
I would be shocked. And of course it turned into like somehow me commenting on somebody else's bad take, saying that I was making the bad take because reading comprehension and strength of schedule are two things that Georgia fans don't believe in. So it was a tough scene.
I think Leon Hart was an end for Notre Dame that won the Heisman like in the 40s. But I don't. But he might have. But he might have actually been. He might have actually been a defensive end. He just played end. It was a
it just says end.
It just says end, right?
End.
It wasn't a tight end. It was just end.
Right.
Yeah, it was.
Could have been split. Could have been tight. Could have been anything.
Yes,
but
lots of ends.
It wasn't. It was not a very talented receiver. He probably had like 38 receiving yards, but like 20 of them came against Army, so they gave him the trophy.
No, noted. 6'2", 210-pounder. Part of the.
Wow.
Part of he did. Look, here you go. Start at tight end for the 1966 national champions. There was.
Well, proud of them.
66. Okay. Do you are you picking Alabama to win the SEC?
That's tough. I am. I don't like it, but I am. I think Georgia. It's hard to pick from Georgia. Here's the only thing I'll say about picking away from Georgia, and I think there's 4 teams that can compete for it. I think it's Georgia, I think it's Bama, LSU, and Texas A&M. And I think that really it's a 3-team race, Bama, LSU, and Georgia, if I'm being honest. But the thing with Georgia that I think that could potentially come back to haunt them is they don't play anybody. And you know just as well as I do is that like one of the best things that can happen to a team that's trying to win a championship is a gut check moment. You're not going to get through a 15-game schedule and just blitzkrieg everybody. You're not going to beat everyone by 30 points every single game. You saw it last year with Georgia. They played Mizzou close on the road, and we're like Malachi Starks tackle at the 1 from losing that game. They're not going to be challenged all year. Like maybe Ole Miss, which they get at home, maybe Tennessee, which I'm not sold on at all. LSU is going to get challenged week 1. Bama's going to get challenged week 2, and then they're going to go play an SEC West schedule. I think those 2 teams will know who they are and what they're made of way more by the time they get to Atlanta. And if I'm being honest, like you look at what happened in that 2021 SEC championship game, I know that Georgia won the Natty and they were the best team in the country, but they were also in a very unfamiliar position in that game in December in Atlanta because they hadn't been challenged all year. And then all of a sudden you find yourself down at halftime. You gave up 24 points in the second quarter. I think that could definitely happen to a team like Georgia this year because that strength of schedule is so weak.
Who do you have in the playoff? Have you made a playoff pick?
I'm doing it tonight, and I probably should have started that homework, but I've been babysitting a 1- and 3-year-old all day. So
wait, someone entrusted you with children?
Yeah.
What?
Dude,
That's the upset of the day.
Yeah, that is very true. It just riding off that, like piggybacking off that. I'll start by saying I think Texas makes it.
Wow. Okay.
I do. I think Texas. I'll say Texas, Bama, Georgia, and Penn State.
I'm sorry. Did you say Penn State?
I did. I think they're built like if you look at that team, they got a 5-star quarterback, right? I know it's his first year starting, but he's got one of the most talented backfields in the country, and they've built that defensive lineup to where there's actual depth for the first time in a very long time, and they've just slowly built this up. Where I feel like they've recruited well, they've developed talent out there. They've got 2 15 picks, one at left tackle for first year starter at quarterback, and then you've got one at DB that can take away half the field. So I think that they are going to be a lot better than people think. But it's the thing about being in the Big Ten East. It's a 2-game season. So are they going to beat Michigan at home, and then are they going to go on the road and beat Ohio State? That's tough. It's like a tall order for sure. I think they beat Michigan because I'm not sold on Michigan. And I
I really had a little bit of a. You gone? All right, we got to get a break. But I would love to tell Chris Marler that picking Penn State to make the playoff is a lot like picking Brock Bowers to win the Heisman. Marler. Who let Chris Marler watch their children? That's what I want to know. All right, we'll talk about Jimmy Graham next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Hey, download the Rouse's app if you haven't done that. On the Rouse's app, of course, you can get curbside, to-go, and delivery options there as well. On the Rouse's app, the weekly ads, all the weekly specials are right there on the Rouse's app. Always go to Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com. You know, when I was in New Orleans last week at a Rouse's Media Day event that they had, one of the things that stood out the most to me was their commitment to local. Every product they carry, especially in their Rouse's branded products, of which there are hundreds, they always start every question. Can we source this locally? Local farmers, local produce, local fishermen, local. If they can get it locally, they do. They are Louisiana through and through. It's Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com. Rouse's, this feels like home.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The best.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Winston looking end zone, going to Graham again, and he's got it for the touchdown.
Jimmy Graham Like old times, man. Touchdown in the preseason game, the preseason finale there against the Houston Texans. I think Jimmy Graham locked up a roster spot. Oh, by the way. I don't want to fall over. Hang on. People keep giving me shoes. A big shout out. I mean, huge shout out to Brad Duncan, by the way. Duncan Custom Kicks. If Brad is if you were here whenever Gordon was in studio and gifted me the Air Gordons, by the way, I love it. Look, Air Gordons, that's pretty good, right?
That is good. Yeah, the rhyme there, like Air Jordan, Air Gordon. I mean, it works. Yeah, that's good stuff.
That's it. Brad told me, he's like, hey, look, sometimes you just you see something, a pair of shoes, and I just know someone who has to have those. I was like, that is so awesome. So he got me these Air Force Ones. They're red with they're white, red swoosh, and the gum bottom, which are awesome. But of course, he customized them. I don't know if you can see it. Paul, can you zoom, or do you want me to put it on a different camera, maybe? He customized them with the AFR logo on the heel. So I got my own custom Air Force One G Nikes. I'm pretty fired up about that. How about that? I think he did that with freehand as well. I don't know that he had a stencil, because that is so symmetrically perfect. But anyway, shout out Brad Duncan Custom Kicks. Go follow. He's the one doing all the shoes for Brian Kelly, and did all the Gordon shoes. There was a big feature in 225 magazine on him in the football preview edition of 225. Shout out, because they actually let me write a column for that every year as well. So if you pick it up, you'll see my column in there. But you'll see the big feature on Brad. So you
got another cool bag too.
I know. It's carrying case. Zip carrying case. Awesome. Anybody else want to send me shoes? I'm totally open to just accepting footwear. Gifts are great.
If you could customize your own pair, if you could design your own, do you have something in mind you'd put on it that you like? I would have to have this.
I'd really have to give that some thought. Mm-hmm. Only get one shot at it.
Yeah, it's your perfect pair of sneakers.
I mean, there's a lot of customs that I'd like that I've thought about doing. I want some Hudco customs. I want some.
That'd be cool.
I want some Catholic High customs. I want the orange and black. I mean, Erica bought me a pair of, so the first customs I ever had, she bought me a pair of black and gold Air Force Ones that were customs. So for those who don't understand, basically people do art on shoes. So when it's customized, they get a white sneaker, like an all white Air Force One, and then they paint them. They're customized. So she got me, and they're Saints black and gold. So she gave me those for my birthday. And then Gordon gave me the Air Gordons. Shout out. So they are so fine, by the way. Brad did an awesome job with them. And now these that Brad did. So there's a bunch that I would like. But if you told me you get one bite at the apple, one crack at it, I need to give it some real thought. All right. About what direction I may go. And it may surprise you, because it probably wouldn't be anything to do with sports.
I think that's why it's so interesting. Though.
Yeah. I'd want it to be more versatile, maybe some of my family or some of Drew on it, something like that.
That'd be awesome.
That'd probably be the way I'd go. Yeah, now that I think about it, that's probably what I think I probably would have some ideas as far as that. Anyway. And by the way, also shout out to Ty Fly, who just texted the show. He's watching us on WBTR. Remind you can listen. I love all of our radio affiliates. Of course, our friends at 100.3 ESPN New Orleans, 94.7 in Alexandria. Our friends at Delta Media, ESPN 103.7 Lafayette, 104.1 Lake Charles. Super, super grateful. And, of course, WBTR, Cable 19 in Baton Rouge. Rev as well. So, Rev 136. Rev 136. I'm almost positive of that. But, anyway, shout out. We appreciate everybody who watches on YouTube, or if you're listening on podcast, listening to us live on the app, however you consume. We appreciate you for being there every single day. And we know you got options. So, thanks for choosing us. Football season's here. We're going to have a lot of fun as long as the home teams cooperate over these next 4 or 5 months. Jimmy Graham, how about it, man? When the Saints signed Jimmy Graham, I know there was a lot of people who thought that this was just like a ceremonial deal. I never thought that, because if it was a ceremonial signing, that's normally announced as a ceremonial signing, right? Where you're signing the one-day contract to retire with that team. That was never what this was. He was trying to make the team. The big question for me was always, did the Saints have room for another tight end? Juwan Johnson was making the team. Foster Moreau was making the team. Taysom Hill making the team. So you had 3 tight ends. The question is, would they keep 4? And a year ago, they kept Nick Vanette around as well. So you had your 3 primary tight ends with Juwan Johnson and Taysom Hill, of course. And then you had Adam Troutman, who you drafted, and then they kept Vanette because they wanted that sort of attached tight end that they've always valued, the inline blocker tight end. And that's not what Jimmy Graham does. That's why this is a little odd, because you've got your pass catcher in Juwan Johnson, and you've got your prototype in Foster Moreau, the guy who could put his hand on the ground, who's also athletic enough to go, run routes and catch passes. So you've got that, and then you've got your Swiss Army knife in Taysom Hill. So is Jimmy Graham just another Juwan Johnson? Is he just another big, long, athletic receiver? Well, isn't Shaq Davis kind of that as well? So it's interesting because, not because the question is if Jimmy Graham can still make plays at this level. Does he fit on this? I think when Jeff Duncan was with us last week, he probably said it best. Given who Graham's representation is, Jimmy Graham wasn't going to come out of retirement where we spent all of last year biking across Europe to come to New Orleans just to try to make a team. There was going to be some assurances that there was a role for him, there was value there, and they wanted to bring him in and have him make this team. And he's done nothing on the field to discourage that belief. If anything, the only thing that's in the column against him is what happened in LA when he got arrested. And you can only minimize or downplay something like that when you're talking about a great player. If you were a guy that was 88th on the roster and you go in LA and get arrested, you're done that day. And I understand what the Saints have said about it being a medical issue and they think maybe he had a seizure. I don't know. What I do know is coaches and front office personnel lie a lot to protect great players. I mean, Brian Kelly was preparing to do that with Mason Smith until Wilson Alexander broke that story. So, and by the way, to each their own. That's not a criticism. You have an organization to run, I get it. But the truth is, if Jimmy Graham weren't a great player, that arrest, he's gone. This goes to show you how much they kind of believe in him right now. And then he's back out there in that game on Sunday against the Texans, and he makes the really strong contested catch, and he scores the touchdown. And it felt like you turned back the clock a decade. All the dude ever needed to do was be in that building wearing that uniform, and he was going to be good again, which is kind of stunning. But maybe there's something to that. Just being comfortable in your setting with your surroundings and where you want to be, and you're going to be able to maximize yourself. I mean, there's plenty of examples in all different types of professions of people who were great in one spot, left, it didn't work out, came back, and they were great again. So maybe that's the case here with Jimmy Graham. By the way, here was Dennis Allen after the game against the Texans talking about Jimmy Graham and his progression throughout training camp.
Probably since the Charger practices, I started to see, some signs of the mental picture that I have of Jimmy Graham. And then again, I saw it this week in practice, and I saw it carry over into the game. So that was a positive.
I mean, the first name that popped into mind was Greg Schiano. Greg Schiano took one of the worst jobs in the history of college athletics at Rutgers and turned them into a winner. And then he went to the NFL and bombed out and went back to Rutgers. And now they haven't reached the heights that they did when he was there the first time, when they got up to all the way to number 2 in the country back in 2006 when they went 11-2. But first year they won 3 games, and they won 5 games, and last year they won nearly 700 receiving yards, and there's something to be said for that, and maybe that's going to be the case for Jimmy Graham as well. Taking a year off, clear his mind, let his body heal, get right, and come back at this point in his career with a chance to maybe make an impact. I'm not telling you I think Jimmy Graham is going to be a Pro Bowler or have 80 catches or anything like that, but if you were thinking about You look at the Saints tight ends a year ago. Juwan Johnson had 42 catches for 508 yards and 7 touchdowns. Adam Troutman had 18 for 207. Taysom had 9 catches for 77 yards. Nick Vanette had 2 for 13. So basically, he had Juwan Johnson and not much else. Foster Moreau is dramatically better. Juwan's back. Foster Moreau is a dramatically better option than Adam Troutman. Taysom's going to be what Taysom is. So really the question is, adding Jimmy Graham, is that a better option than Nick Vanette? Now, Vanette is a different style of tight end, but Jimmy kind of tilts the field a little bit. If he's able to play within this offense the way that we've seen so far through preseason. So, I don't want to oversell it, but candidly, I loved Jimmy Graham when he was here the first time. I know a lot of people did. There was always a conversation about, was he soft? He was kind of transitioning from basketball to football? But I loved Jimmy Graham. Bringing him back, I had real questions as to whether or not there was a roster spot for him, because I didn't know if the Saints were going to keep 4 tight ends. He's played well enough to earn a roster spot on this offense. Now it's on Dennis Allen and Mickey Loomis to figure out how you make it work so you can keep 4 tight ends and 3 quarterbacks, so where you're going to be deficient, likely on the defensive side. But Jimmy Graham, I think, has earned a roster spot. At this point, I'd be surprised if he wasn't on the Saints' 53-man roster. He's earned it. All right, it's After Further Review, brought to you by Shaw Bills. Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. ShawBillsTire.com. They will sell you name-brand tires at wholesale prices. They even, part of Charlie's Dozen, have their price match guarantee. Buy tires at Shaw Bills. If you find the same tire advertised cheaper within the market, they'll give you 125% of the cost of the tires that you paid. Basically, they're not going to be beaten on price with the best tires on the road. It's at Shaw Bills. Find Shaw Bills nearest you at ShawBillsTire.com. You can schedule service online. You can shop tires online. It's all there for you. And if you're looking for a career instead of a job, Shaw Bills is a great place to work. Shaw Bills treats you like family, especially if you're an employee, because you're part of their family. ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Shaw Bills, where we keep you rolling. All right, it's After Further Review. Otter Locks in about 15 minutes from right now. See what the Otters got for us. We'll recap Week 0 in college football and start to look ahead to Week 1 with the games coming up this weekend. We're kind of into our game week, so we're really excited. All throughout last year, Cole Kubelik was part of our Monday shows. Unfortunately, Cole's not going to be able to join us this We've got Russ Mitchell on Wednesdays. We've got Mike Triplett on Thursday. So really excited about our lineup, our football lineup all throughout the college and NFL season. So hopefully you'll make plans to be with us all throughout the ride, and it'll be a fun one for the purple and gold and for the black and gold. All right, let me knock out a break. We'll come back. I do want to get into a reaction to some of the national prognosticators, their picks not only for the SEC but for the playoff. We'll delve into that a little bit and again, Otter Locks in about 15 minutes. Glad you're with us here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Today is the 28th minute. You got 3 days, y'all. 3 days. If you're interested in participating in the Get Gordon Billboard contest, the Billboard Design Competition, go to GetGordonBillboards.com. GetGordonBillboards.com. You can submit your artwork. Basically, they're giving you the opportunity to design Gordon's next billboard. If you win, you can win $2,000 in prizes, and there's multiple winners as well, so don't think like it's a winner-take-all thing. A lot of different people. There's even a kids division, so if your kiddo wants to submit some artwork, they can do that as well. Go to GetGordonBillboards.com, GetGordonBillboards.com, and I really, really, really encourage you. Go follow Gordon on all the social media at GetGordon for a couple of reasons. Number one, he gives great legal advice. It's just free legal advice he gives out on social media a lot, and he has a lot of content with members of the G team. Check it out on Twitter at GetGordon.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
One of the stories that we do have to track as we get closer to Sunday is going to be Tropical Storm Idalia, which, if you've not been following, is as you look at the cone of probability, it just wouldn't be August before the college football season if we weren't tracking some type of storm somewhere. There was one in California last week, but Idalia right now is Idalia is scheduled to make landfall Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, and sorry, I'm trying to pull up the cone of probability here, at least the most recent one. So here it is. This is the track that it's taken. This was 15 minutes ago. So it's looking like Wednesday morning, like early morning hours Wednesday is when it looks like they'll start to feel the effects, and into the day Wednesday, kind of north of Tampa, then over Gainesville, past Jacksonville, and then out to sea by Thursday around 6 a.m. and gone. So it really gives you 72 hours from the time the storm is completely gone until game day. And if you're looking at this map, Paul, you can pull it up again as it moves. You'll see that you can see Orlando. If you're listening, they're essentially projecting this storm to stay west and north of Orlando. So sort of the southern bands. Orlando should have a rain event, but the significant winds and the really intense part of the storm, they're projecting to go farther north, like toward the armpit of Florida, like between the panhandle and the leg of Florida. So in any event, we certainly hope that everybody's safe and there's no loss of property and certainly no loss of life. But specifically in terms of the game, it sounds like it's going to be okay. Mike Norvell had his press conference earlier today and was asked about the latest information that they had about the storm.
You know, obviously something that we're tracking, just for our guys here. And, we get great communication, university, athletic department, all things that we're aware of. But right now, we always will have plans if things need to adapt and adjust. But it's not something that we're thinking is going to, at this time, make a huge impact for our preparation this week, or what that would be for the end of the week towards the game.
So that's great news. It doesn't sound like it would impact the game or their preparation for the game. That's great. Brian Kelly was also asked about it today.
We're just tracking it like everybody else. The latest model for us has the storm being passed out to sea, and that, there'll be some light winds on the back end of it. But, we're going to keep a close track on it. We'll start wet ball drills here tomorrow to prepare for it, but we'll watch it just like everybody else and be prepared for whatever the circumstances.
So we'll keep an eye. Wet ball drills maybe, but the weather for the weekend looks nice there in Orlando. We're 6 days out, so a lot can change the weather forecast. You all know that, but just something we'll keep an eye on. But for now, it doesn't seem like the storm is going to have any effect on preparation or the game itself being played on Sunday night in Orlando. All right, it's after further review. I want to get some of these college football predictions here in a second. Brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge, and online at southpointvw.com. Southpointvw.com. They got inventory on the way. So there's a lot of places you drive by car lots and a lot of different dealerships, and you don't see many vehicles on the lot. Not the case at South Point Volkswagen. They are getting inventory, and you can go test drive one today. Airline just north of Highland or southpointvw.com. They are Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer, and because South Point moves more inventory, they can give you better deals. You can shop them online. You can work out financing online at southpointvw.com. Southpointvw.com for South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction? A lot of college football playoff predictions out. The Yahoo crew with Dan Wetzel, Pam Maldonado, Sam Cooper, Ross Dellinger, Nick Bromberg all gave their picks on the Heisman. Conference champions, the college football playoff participants, and the national champion. 3 of the 5 picked Georgia to win the Natty. Dan Wetzel, Sam Cooper, and Nick Bromberg. Ross Dellinger picked Michigan to win the Natty, and Pam Maldonado picked Southern Cal to win the Natty. It is worth noting Dan Wetzel picked Jaden Daniels to win the Heisman and has LSU in the playoff. Obviously not winning it, but LSU in the playoff and Jaden Daniels winning the Heisman. Both Nick Bromberg and Pam Maldonado have Caleb Williams repeating as the Heisman winner. Sam Cooper has Carson Beck winning the Heisman. And then Ross has Marvin Harrison Jr. winning the Heisman. None of the 5 picked LSU to win the conference. Maldonado picked Alabama. The rest picked Georgia to win the conference as well. So that's the Yahoo predictions. Who knew? Dan Wetzel, noted LSU homer. Dan Wetzel picking Jaden Daniels to win the Heisman and LSU in the playoff. The college game day crew all made their picks as well over the weekend. Last year, Desmond Howard got a lot of attention for his outlandish picks. He had A&M. Who else did he have last year?
I don't remember. But his natty was A&M and Michigan. Let's see if we can find it. Was it Utah? I think he had Utah in there.
See if you can find it. But Desmond sort of got panned last year because maybe he had Michigan State. I think he had Michigan State in there too. It was a couple teams that were out after the first week of the season. So Dez had Alabama, Florida State, Michigan, and Texas. With Alabama and Michigan playing for the national championship, with Michigan beating Alabama for the Natty. So a little more chalk this year. You got it?
Yeah.
It was A&M.
It was Michigan, A&M, Baylor, and Pittsburgh.
Baylor and Pittsburgh. I mean, I can kind of respect shooting your shot, going on a limb. But, if you're going to go on a limb with one team with a good reason to do it, not with 4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All right, Pat McAfee, here were his 4. He went Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, Michigan. So he went chalk with Bama beating Georgia. And then Herbie had the same 4. Bama, Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia, with Bama beating Ohio State for the national championship. I'm not completely ready to make my we'll do this on Friday, for sure. And next week we'll do all of our NFL picks. But the one team that I'm maybe a little more bullish on that none of them were is Clemson. I think Florida State's the flavor of the month, and people are trying to bet on the come with Florida State. But I think everyone has forgotten Clemson at their own peril. And Clemson gets Florida State in Clemson. Cade Klubnik's a really good quarterback. I mean, their down year last year was a 10-win season. I just think you are burying Clemson at your own peril in a bad ACC where they get Florida State at home and their toughest road game is at Syracuse, at Miami. I mean, I like Clemson. I think Clemson wins the ACC and is back in the playoff. That's what I'm very comfortable saying. And I've told you I think LSU wins the SEC, so I think LSU will be in the playoff. I'm comfortable today saying I would pick half of my playoff as Clemson and LSU. I do believe the Big Ten champion will be in there, and I kind of have a lean towards saying that USC will go undefeated and get in there as well. And so neither the Big Ten or the SEC would have two spots. Not ready to go 100% on that yet, but close. The thing that surprised me the most, though, about the game day guys in particular, is that all of them had Alabama in their playoff bracket. All three of them did. And, you know, I could have understood the case for Bama a year ago, and I would have picked Bama a year ago. And I've told you this story before. Being at SEC Media Days, the Bama guys there looked pissed off. They had lost. They won the SEC, beat Georgia. Georgia got the rematch and beat Alabama in the national championship. And they looked pissed. I mean, it was like that was the refocus, recentering that they needed. And ultimately what it proved was they just weren't very good. They were good. Don't misunderstand me. They're still very good. But they played a lot of 50-50 games. And that was with the best player in college football in Bryce Young. So you lose Bryce Young, you're uncertain at quarterback, you lose both of your coordinators, you are not as dominant on the line of scrimmage as you were when you were winning national championships every single year. I think Bama has, we've said it before, has real questions, which is, if I was watching game day and all the guys that we're talking about were saying, this is Bama's bounce back. They're not down low. No, last year was their bounce back. And it didn't go well. This year is, I don't know, man. I think Bama's a 9-3 football team this year. I think they lose 3 in the regular season this year. We'll get into those predictions later in the week. All right, but I'm gonna go on a limb with it. I'll probably be alone on that, but we'll get to it. Okay, it's after further review. Let me knock out our final break of the show. We'll come back and do Otter Locks next. Stay here.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson, and Bluebonnet. Dine in, carry out, or delivery with 28 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, sports on TV. My goodness, what else in the world could you possibly want during football season than award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, and every stinking football game possible on TV? You know what? Saturday, I didn't get to watch USC against San Jose State because I don't have the Pac-12 network. Could have gone to Pluckers and watched it there. Remember, all season long, your football Friday nights with high school football before or after every game, Pluckers. Saturday, you need a place to plop down and watch every game, even the Pac-12 after dark, all throughout the Pluckers. And on your football Sundays as well, when the NFL cranks up. They have the NFL Sunday ticket. They'll have every NFL game all season long at Pluckers. Nicholson, just south of campus. Bluebonnet right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. Tonight and every Monday, all-you-can-eat wings. So if you need a place for dinner tonight, get by Pluckers, where, if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Bayou Ford has $8,000 off MSRP, plus 1.9% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks, along with Bayou Ford's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Down the stretch, we come final segment here on a Monday edition of AFR, presented by Relief Windows. Of course, they are windows, doors, siding, but as always, they are experience, quality, and service. Be sure to ask about their interior window blinds. Great opportunity right now. Those interior shutters make your home more energy efficient, beautify your home, increase the resale value. Awesome product with awesome people. It's Relief Windows. All right, we got one thing left to do. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable and often incomprehensible, the Yacht Father himself, Jimmy Yacht. Otter, how are you?
Doing good. Let's get right to them.
Okay.
We got a little bit here. First of all, Moneyline Parlay at our friends over at DraftKings. Baltimore minus 258. Rodriguez over Kopech, a better team at home. Big pitching matchup. The whole shebang. And man, these parks are alive. In Seattle, minus 270. That's minus 111. So basically, it's betting the football game. Baltimore, right. Seattle parlay. For Seattle, Woo, my man Woo from Cal Poly Flow. Oh, you ever been to Cal Poly Flow?
No.
Pretty cool place, yes. I won 16 of 20, Matthew. 16 of 20 to Seattle, and they are now in first place in the AL West. Baltimore, Seattle, Moneyline parlay.
Okay.
All right, Cubs in Milwaukee. I'm trying to find out where the Cubbies are favored in this one. Milwaukee's one of the hottest teams in the National League. Tyon against Miley. Now, Miley's no world beater, but he's better than Tyon. Tyon for the Cubs, his last 4 starts, he's given up in 15 innings pitched, he's given up 16 earned runs. Not good. More earned runs than innings pitched. Not good. Milwaukee's plus money, plus 110 at DraftKings.
All right.
And you know what's not good, Matt? Adam Wainwright. I don't know why they're rolling him out there. So I just told you that more earned runs than innings pitched is not good. Do the math, Mike Blackman. That's more than non-ERA. How about the last 4 starts?
1 minute remaining.
14 and 2/3 innings pitched. You guess how many earned runs he's given up?
20.
25.
Oh.
We're going with the over here, San Diego and St. Louis. The reason Blake Snell's only averaging about 5 innings. He's walking a lot of people. He's striking out a lot of people. Nasty stuff, but that San Diego bullpen is not good. One of the most underachieving teams. Over 9, San Diego, St. Louis. 3 plays. Keep the streak going. We ended last week on a 4-game winning streak.
Otter, where are you tomorrow?
Mike Anderson Seafood.
Go check out the Otter.
The Nicholson salad.
The Dalrymple salad.
Yeah.
All right, Otter, have a great day. We appreciate it.
See you, man.
All right, be well. That's going to do it for us. Been a great show. Thank y'all for being here every single day. Muse, Paulie, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Y'all have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 on AFR.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, remind you about Mold Zero USA, mold-0usa.com, mold-0usa.com. Kill mold, remove odor. Listen, the last 3 days, after a drought for nearly a month, the last 3 days it has stormed across the greater Baton Rouge area and much of Louisiana. We needed it. But if you had water get into your home, maybe you're not even sure if you had water get in your home. That's a breeding ground for mold. If you have mold, think you might, call Mold Zero. They'll always come out and give you a free estimate. That's super easy. Call Jim and the gang. They'll come out. Jim can explain this whole dry fog process to you, where they'll come in with their it's so easy. They got the Sprinter van with the hoses. They come in the house. They just spray the dry fog. It gets into every nook and cranny. As soon as the fog dissipates, you can go back in free and clear, and it's safe for everything. You don't have to cut sheetrock, pull out carpet, and remove stuff. It's easy. Learn more. Mold-0usa.com.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.